In medicine, we often speak about numbers, creatinine levels, dialysis hours, survival rates. But behind every number, there is a person, a family, a life waiting for a second chance. For more than 4 decades now, Dr. Sundar Sankaran has lived in that space, the fragile, emotional world of kidney disease and transplantation, where hope and uncertainty exist side by side. He has seen the quiet courage of patients who spend years tethered to dialysis machines. He has witnessed the extraordinary generosity of people who are giving a part of themselves so that someone else can live. And he has stood beside families in moments when medicine alone cannot answer the questions they are asking. Because transplantation is not just a medical procedure, it is a story of human choices, of sacrifice, trust, desperation, and sometimes faith. Living in that world changes the way you see medicine. It makes you realize that healing is not only about technology or expertise, it is also about empathy, about listening, about understanding the fears, beliefs, and hopes that patients bring with them into a hospital room. And somewhere along this long journey through medicine, Dr. Sundar has also come to believe something that many doctors quietly discover over time, that science may guide the treatment, but faith, meaning, and human connection often guide the healing. In this conversation, he reflects on a lifetime in nephrology, the lessons learned from patients, the complexities of organ transplantation, and the deeply human experiences that lie behind one of modern medicine's most remarkable achievements. This is Rebooting the Brain, and this story is the delicate balance between medicine and morality.
ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीव उपास्महे हयग्रीव उपास्महे.
Rebooting the Brain, powered by PRS Neurosciences. Namaste, everybody. Welcome to one more episode of our podcast, Rebooting the Brain. And as usual, we have a fantastic guest with us. And before I introduce the guest, I want to chant my shloka. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This shloka has been a driving force for me right from my childhood. And like the shloka says, from ignorance to enlightenment, from darkness to light, from life to immortality, this can be used in any aspect of your life, and you can become a wiser and more worldly, spiritual person. Hi, everybody. I am Dr. Sharan Srinivasan, a functional neurosurgeon from Bengaluru, India. And before I introduce the guest of the day, the usual housekeeping rules. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. Hit the like button for every video that you watch. Please forward and share this video, all the videos that you like, so that many, many more people can benefit from this content that we are creating. And don't forget to comment, because your comments will add a lot of value to the chat itself. It helps us to, push the videos further, and so that more and more people will benefit. Like, people have been reaching out and saying, thank you for your videos. It has made a difference in my father's life, mother's life. I could take this action, that action, and so on and so forth. And to keeping up with the tradition, today let me introduce my guest of the day, Dr. Sundar Sankaran. Sundar, welcome to our show. Dr. Sundar, for our guest, he is a single nephrologist who has more than 3,000 transplants under his belt, kidney transplants. Very few people, I'm sure, have that kind of a reputation in the market, more than 40 years experience. He's an amazing gentleman, and more importantly, the character he has had during his, courageous career is impeccable and something that all of you should emulate. So, Sundar, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Sharon. Before we begin, I would also like to follow the sloka which as a mantra for me throughout my
Perfect.
life. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Nirmaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kashchati Dukbat Bhavet. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. Literally means may all be happy, may all be free from illness, may all witness everything auspicious, may no one suffer. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Fantastic. So, Sundar, January 1995, you were, picking up a career. You were sort of, getting very famous. You and your surgeon, Dr. Ajit, you were doing so many kidney transplants in Bangalore when it was not so common at that time. And you were out of the country and something happened. Can you tell our viewers what was that something that happened that hit you like a lightning?
I think this occurred in the month of January 1995. I exactly remember because it was a landmark event in my life. It's we can say life changing. 1987, we started our own transplant program in Ramaya Medical College, our own institute. We were doing a number of transplants. At that point of time, patients would come all over the world seeking transplants, and the law in India was not there for transplants. So people could come, the willing donors, and transplant would be done. So 1995, in the month of January, the first 16 days, we did 16 transplants. And then we were invited by the Burmese government to set up a transplant program there
Myanmar.
in Myanmar. And we were actually flying to Yangon or Rangoon. So we flew from Bangalore to Chennai, Chennai to Thailand, Bangkok, and we were going to Rangoon. When I landed in Bangkok airport, normally those days we never had mobile phones. We call on landline. Somehow managed to get international call from the airport to speak to my father. And my father was flustered and he said, in the morning headline news, it says Bangalore kidney doctors arrested and more doctors are going to be arrested.
Whoa.
And at that
Arrested
point,
for what?
arrested for kidney theft. The story was that thousands of villagers have come to Bangalore and their kidneys are stolen and exported like pickles to Saudi Arabia and Middle Eastern countries. This was the accusation.
Crazy.
And, so when we heard that, and we were not sure what's going to happen, and our flight was immediately to Rangoon. So we went there, and we actually were received by the head of department of nephrology, urology in the airport. They came in the typical Myanmar dress, with the lungi and dress. And we were asked to give a talk in the same traditional dress. So, and the back of mind was going on. And then we were sitting in the hotel, and the breakfast table, the TV is showing BBC News headlines: kidney theft in Bangalore, India. And they're showing that 3 doctors have been arrested and 2 more kidney agents or whatever. And that's how we came to know. And then slowly the story emerged that the doctors arrested was one of my own close friends. He was a professor in nephrology. He's done a lot of work. And the accusation was same, that one particular donor went to a hospital in Bangalore for blood donation. And during blood donation, he was seems anesthetized, made unconscious, and kidney was stolen. And when he came out, he found a scar, and later on realized something has happened. And then he went to the police station and gave a complaint. And then they started doing work, and they thought that a lot of kidneys are being exported because a lot of transplants are being done and being exported to Saudi Arabia, and it became a police and media sensation. It was quite scary. And then we finished our talks, and we were getting back to Bangalore. And those days, again, there's no direct flight. We are flying from Rangoon, Yangon to Singapore, Singapore to Bangalore. And in our mind, we were getting messages saying that when you land in Bangalore, there's a very high chance that you will be arrested. So you're landing in Chennai. Don't come in your vehicle or any vehicle. Try to come and keep calling home because police may be waiting for you. And when we were flying from Rangoon to Singapore, and I was sitting with my surgeon, and it was very shattering moment because we just started our career and we are going to be arrested. And I got a small family, small kid, and my wife's there. Same with the surgeon also. And my colleague was telling me, I think Sundar, ideal would be for us to commit suicide. Because it is shameful. Because
It's shameful. I agree.
because this has never occurred. Even a small police, you say that the police complaint, you're scared, and here you are going to be arrested. It's scary.
For a theft which you have not done.
So then I was, then in fact, my surgeon said, I think it may not look what I'm saying. I wish the plane crashes and we die, because if you commit suicide, it's bad name for the family. And we were wondering, and then he was looking out of the window. And then he said, Sundar, I think nothing will happen to us. I said, why? Can you see down? There is a circular rainbow. And in my experience, dealing with Buddhist monks and philosophy, circular rainbow is a celestial sign. Mark my words, nothing will happen to us. And that's what happened. And we went through a trial by fire, media, and all that. There's a different story. But end of the day, we are cleared and we could do our work.
Sundar, that was scary. Let me be honest. I mean, you told this to me offline, but still hearing it from you and the fact that you we still stood to fight. And I think what was most important from a character that I have followed you and things like that is that you didn't react, you didn't run away, you did not do anything that you thought was inappropriate. Why? Because you had trust. And the trust was in yourself, and you knew that you had done no wrong, and the system was doing what it was doing, and you knew that the truth will eventually prevail. And like you say, Satyameva Jayate. And that's what you said. And I think that's what it was.
But Sharan, it was not as easy as we say. I mean, you said I didn't run away, but it was traumatic. It had an impact on my family. My son was 13, 14. In the school, he was harassed. In fact, they
Really?
shaved his head and painted saying
What?
kidney Kallas Maga and all that. So
My
that actually
goodness.
traumatized him. And at the age of
Shit.
15, 16, he left the country for good on a scholarship to Singapore. But that was, in a way, you say there is opportunity in adversity. So for me, I mean, my son went away, leaving me. But now what he is, because he went to Singapore on a scholarship, he was sponsored by the Singapore government, and he became director of research, clinician scientist. He is now heading the gastric cancer program in Yale on invitation from Yale University from Singapore. He achieved a lot of things which probably wouldn't have occurred but for this episode. So even in these things, in retrospect, it's okay. So you can always connect the dots behind. But it was a traumatic period. I mean, for the family, for everybody, it was, you're sort of always looked down. Even when they go for a marriage, they don't want to talk to you because they think they won't even. And many years, my surgeon would never say he's a kidney transplant surgeon. He'd always say surgeon. And I would never say I'm a nephrologist. And this was not only me. The whole profession was sort of marred because of the media trial and the police trial. It was quite scary. And but one thing I must say, this episode actually was responsible for the disease donor transplant program to come into India. But many people don't know that. The Organ Transplant Act, called the Human Organ Transplant Act, or OTA, now it's called the Human Organ Transplant, TOTA, was made into a law in the Act in 1994, but it was never became a law. This 1995 January episode prompted the central government to make it universal that brain death will be recognized for organ donation. Because they said, why is this sort of scams occurring? If you go into the scams, why does this scam occur? Or so-called scam? In my experience, there is no kidney theft. It is always something to do with monetary transactions. We'll come to that. Because number of donors are very less. If you look at the incidence of kidney failure, it is 200,000 people requiring transplant every year.
That's 2 lakh, 2 lakh,
2 lakh
people.
200 every, and we are doing
Every
now
year.
every year, and it's adding.
Correct.
200 new
Correct,
thousands
correct,
adding. So
correct.
we are doing only 14,000 transplants a year in India. Out of the 14,000, now about 10% are from deceased donors. Remaining are from live donors. So we have to depend on live donors. Unlike in the West, where 60-70% is from brain dead or cadaver donors. That's not the story. And in India, we have a combination of poverty and this shortage of donors. This is a recipe for disaster. So we have to address this at the core, which nobody wants to do. How do we solve the problem? We have to think out of the box. How do we get about this? This is very important. When we talk of organ donation, people think, now the rule, if you talk of the Human Organ Transplant Act, the rule at that point when 95 passed, it said brain death will be the new definition for death. Before that, heart had to stop. So now we have to say, somebody is brain dead. You're a neurosurgeon. You know how to diagnose brain death. Once you are certified brain death, then the organs could be taken. A lot of people think when you say cadaver or disease donor transplant, there's so many accidents occur, so many people are dying. Can't we take the organ? No, it's not any dead person. It has to be a heart beating cadaver. Only then it can be taken. So that is where the problem comes. And if you talk of the related donors, as per the Indian law, when you say related, close related, you know who is close related as per the Transplant Act? Parents, children, siblings, spouse. Period. Your grandparents are not
Oh,
close
not
related.
even grandparents.
And I had a case from Bihar. This was an 80-year-old grandfather who came with his grandson to donate kidney. And at that point of time, because of the scam, the law has just passed. All unrelated transplant who are not close have to be cleared by the government. The government refused to give permission.
Really?
Huh. So this grandfather, one of the oldest donors, he argued in the court himself. I remember his name. His name is Mishra. He said, I am a Hindu Brahmin from Bihar. My name is Mishra. In my custom, if I die, my grandson carries the funeral pyre. That's the custom in Hindu tradition. I don't want it the reverse. So the judge gave permission. With the court order, I did the transplant. Then it's very interesting. If you look at the Income Tax Gift Tax Act, who can give money without gift tax? Your uncle, in-laws, father-in-law, mother-in-law can do it. But you can't give kidney. That is the sad thing about our law, that is very interesting. A lot of people think that doing unrelated is illegal. No, it's not illegal. What is illegal as per Indian law is commercial transaction. There should not be monetary transaction. It should be out of what is called altruism. This is where the problem comes. How do you prove altruism?
That is,
Isn't it?
there is no line at all. You can, everything can be boxed everywhere and things like this. So, viewers, what Sundar is saying is a very, very painful area for those who are suffering. Is a challenging area for people like him and his team, where they want, when they see the crying face of the patient or the family, they want help. They don't know what to do. He knows the solution is the kidney. He doesn't know how we are going to get a kidney for a donor. Then we have all these things going on. So, guys, we need all hands to clap. All of us have to participate to make this happen. And only then we can empower people like Dr. Sundar and team to really make a difference, to get those kidney patients who are on dialysis, who will die otherwise someday without a kidney transplanted. I think, Sundar, I mean, hats off to you, for you and your team, for what you have endured, and what you have gone through. The character, I think, lot of your character, it's like you sound like one of the generals in the battlefield. You have fought your own battles. Unfortunately, you have the politicians who are on bail, who will walk around and can do public rallies. But people like us, normal citizens of this country, even if the police comes in front of our house, we have to hide our head in shame and go, because that's not who we are. I can completely understand what you're going through. The fact that you're having a smile on your face says a ton.
Like,
That's all I
in
can
fact,
say.
to that extent, we look at the police constable initially, you would be scared because I know so.
I agree.
But down the line, I mean, they are very good police officers. I mean, they've become friends and they've understood and they've helped us in moments of crisis. When a junior inspector or somebody wants to harm or arrest some doctor, the senior people are counseled and then they go on to the thing. They have been helpful. I mean, many of them have been very kind and helpful. They understand the scenario. But we need more people to be educated. The problem is not the somebody wants to harm, it's also ignorance. They don't know. Like the police commissioner was involved and he was saying that the kidneys are being exported as pickles, like in a bottle, to the Saudi Arabia. In fact, the deputy commissioner of police wanted to go to Saudi Arabia to investigate and get back the kidneys. You can imagine the ignorance at that point of time.
I mean, whatever, right or wrong. Guys, I was laughing not, on this, to understand that if people with ignorance, people are holding a position of influence or of stature leadership, make loose comments like this, how will you feel? Do you really think, please go ahead and investigate? How can you take a, kidney in a dabba and take it here, take it there, things like that? It's not, nothing is going to survive. Even the meat has to be cold stored, before it is transported from here to there. The vaccine had to be, traveled in a cold chain, the COVID vaccine, all of you know what was going on. So that's the way it is.
No, interestingly, the same thing, the home minister at that point of time, 95, he himself said that kidneys are stolen and exported. And 10 years down the line, he came with his relative for a kidney transplant. And when I confronted him, he said, Doctor, at that time, doctor. I mean, he was apologetic and he accepted. He didn't know.
Yeah, but see, they don't realize, Sundar, how much it has hurt other people. But he didn't. Did he say sorry to you? Then
He did, because at that time his relative needed help from me.
so
Maybe
he had to say.
he might have been
Yeah,
obliged. I
okay.
don't know.
Anyway, good. Anyway, just so that's why we say God is great at the end of the day. Satyameva Jayate is very important. But you also made a statement of that journalist who came and what you did. Can you tell our viewers what was that episode?
I know very interesting. See, even though I always pay sort of respects to a very senior journalist. Now he's senior. At that time, he was a rookie journalist called Gautam Machaya from Indian Express. When this episode occurred, all the journalists wanted to cover this, and most of the journalists who came from reputed newspaper, from crime reporters. And all of them wanted to quote only the police. They said this police has said this. Hundreds of, thousands of villagers have gone to the various hospitals, 5, 6 hospitals in Bangalore doing transplant at that point of time, and kidneys are stolen. But this one particular reporter, Gautam Machaya, he was a science reporter. He went because that's again Providence. The crime reporters were on leave. So he went as a science reporter, but looking at crime. So he put a different story. He said, I'm a science reporter. So scientifically, it's not possible to steal kidney. So even though all nephrologists still say he's the only guy who actually said the kidneys were not stolen. There might have been some cheating. Somebody was promised some money, or
Yeah,
that money was
it
not.
was
That
more
most
of a
of the time it is
cheating.
that.
Yeah.
It is not stealing of kidney. I think that's where this nature works. At that point of time, a lot of journalists were trying to blackmail us. There was a lot of, in those days we didn't have social media or round the clock TV. There will be papers, evening papers, I don't want to name, they'll be sold in traffic signals. And they are like tabloids. So one of the journalists actually came to me and my surgeon, Dr. Ajit Tuilkol, who is very reputed, very upright transplant surgeon. So he came and said, Dr. Ajit and Dr. Sundar, tomorrow we are going to put headlines that you people have stolen kidney, and then we are going to bring activists to your house, and be
So
ready for this.
literally threatening you.
Threatening. And then he said, but if you give me 5 lakhs cash, I can see that nothing happens.
5 lakh in
5 lakh cash.
1995
And he
is a
also
lot
said,
of-
and he showed, he had a gun in his hand, and I'm also carrying a revolver. I don't know why he said that. And then he thought he has won the battle. Fortunately, my surgeon at that point of time had the habit of recording many things, and he had a recorder, and he had recorded the whole conversation. And he said, if you do this, I'm going to give it to the press council or whatever. This is a recording I have. And immediately the fellow ran away. I mean, this
Fantastic.
this is reality.
See, guys, you have to use your common sense. God has given you this brain. Reboot your brain. Learn this. This what has happened to Sundar can happen to any of us in any situation, anytime in our life. Be well informed. Don't panic. Use your brains, and definitely you can have certain like this to actually bail you out of this. That is a great thing that Ajit did. I think you should give one thanks to Ajit from our side, because not only that you stopped more damage, Sundar, you have to understand both of you have fought many of our battles as medical professionals, because we are a small group, we are the minuscule group, we hardly talk, we just are buried in our work, we don't form a significant electorate for anybody to care about us, and that's how we become the punching bag, more so with the social media right now. But for you to have fought that battle at that time is amazing. How many years? 20 years, 15 years you took for this case to
No,
actually?
this actually, fortunately, there's no actual court case or anything on this particular episode. After that, we've had anything. But the doctors were accused, Dr. Siddharaj and 2 other urologists, and they were actually acquitted after about 18 years. And Dr. Siddharaj just died due to COVID, serving patients on COVID. Very simple man.
I know, he
And
was
his-
our teacher.
And he was a great man.
Great,
And
great,
his
great
whole
guy.
life was changed.
Yes.
But that was a setback for the government service. Because of that, he could never start a training program. Nephrology was looked down upon. So that was a bad thing. What he told me.
So
but
it
he-
hurt actually the people it had to support. The patients got affected, and the whole science got affected. And
And
because
in fact,
of
he told me that even in Mahabharata and Ramayana, they went for 14 years
one
to
was.
torture. One was. For me, it took 17, 18 years to be acquitted and said I'm free. But that is a sad thing. That is the reality.
So for those of you think that the doctors got acquitted because of something that happened in the back, no guys. Eventually when the investigation went through, they found that the doctors had nothing to do with the scam. The scam happened because of 2 liquor families owning liquor lobbies. You understand? They also owned hospitals, and there was a fight between them, and they were made the scapegoat.
Yes, we were like when 2 elephants fight, it's the grass which gets trampled. So same way, we were innocent bystanders who got affected.
Can you imagine, guys? People like them, can you imagine they became scapegoats because 2 liquor lobbies had an agenda against each other? So that's the way life is. I think if you look at a Kundli, maybe at that time, something.
I mean, I do believe in astrology. I mean,
Mhm.
a lot of people say it's not science, but I think
I also believe in astrology.
So
yeah.
unless you experience it, I mean, a
Yes.
lot of things you say science, astrology is fake and all that. In my experience, we did meet an astrologer. My Dr. Ajit and we went through astrologer. They suggested few pujas and all that. But very interestingly, this is a very interesting story which you must know. So we went to Hosur, where they do this Nadi Josya, the Tamil Nadi Josya. They take from the leaflets, palm leaves, and though in the palm leaf, actually your history, your story is written. So the astrologer saw our palm leaf and he said, both of you are working together and I see good future only. In a few years' time, you'll be running many guest houses, he said. And doctor said, "See, we are transplant people, man. What guest house we are going to run?" So in private, doctor just said, "I hope he's not thinking that we are going to run brothel or something like that. What is he talking?" Then you won't believe. About 4 or 5 years down the line, a Nigerian nephrologist, he saw my internet had just started, and I had become active on the internet. He had seen some posting of mine on transplant. The professor of nephrology emailed me saying that I got a deputy commissioner of police in Nigeria. He has no money. He's got only $10,000, and I can't send him to US. Can you do the transplant in India, Bangalore? So this man came from Lagos, flew to Addis Ababa because no direct flight, Bombay. Then that I still remember the name of the deputy commissioner. His name was Babali. So he said, moment I landed in Bombay, I felt spiritual. And he's a Christian. He says, I felt something, I'll get well. He came to Bangalore and he had a transplant. One of his cousins donated. He did well. And that is how, then we realized there is potential for foreign patients to come, and Nigeria and other places, Bangladesh, to come and be with us. So we actually took 5 or 6 apartments next to Lakeside Hospital, and we were actually running guest house. We had a manager running it like that. So which is actually true. I mean, what the astrologer said was, in hindsight, I made fun of him, but that just came true.
I mean, no,
Like what you're doing now, you're taking next door, you're actually providing accommodation.
yes,
It's like a guest house. I
yes,
mean,
yes,
that's
yes,
the
yes,
reality
yes, yes,
for the
very, very,
patient.
yes, absolutely. It's exactly the same. So now, as you have shared your story about how the impact on you as a person, impact on your family, the impact on your son, and he had to leave the country, and all that you had to clean up your name, and we realized what the truth is. That showed your character at the end of the day, and definitely what it is. Now that also showed that you stood up because all of you knew you were clean. There was not S of scam here, not even the smallest of that. And but we had to go through what it was at the end of the day. So, and then that has not got you off the profession. You continue to do human service. The number of thousands of patients after that you have helped, it's amazing, Dr. Sundar. Thank you for who you have been and what you have done for the community. And keeping up the spirit is very important. That naturally takes us to the next, part of the conversation that we wanted to have is about the ethics of transplant itself. And you have told me some amazing stories among related transplants. Can you tell us the viewers some stories, and then we'll go down this
See, if you
path?
go back historically, the world's first transplant was done in 1954. The problem with transplant is when you take a kidney from another person, put it in you got in your body something called the immune system. Immunity is your soldiers. They not only fight infection, they also fight the foreign body, which is the kidney. So there is something called rejection. So the earlier transplants are all failed. When this Dr. Murray, he was a plastic burn surgeon, he was also involved in tissue, skin graft and all that. So he took twins, the Herrick twins, and they were identical twins. And then he thought if they are identical twins, there will be a match and there won't be rejection. So interestingly, he actually, to prove that they are twins, he had to do fingerprinting. He went to the police station those days, 1954. The police actually recorded. So I was just thinking, it's not now. He was smart enough to involve the police. So when we didn't involve the police. Now the authorization committee, the committee which gives clearance, should have a police in the office. Should also have a journalist. We have become smart now to involve them. So 1954, the transplant started like that. So these were between twin brothers. Then there are twin sisters who donated. Slowly the drugs started coming in. We had something called azathioprine, then cyclosporin, tacrolimus. These are all drugs which suppress the immunity, and the kidney transplant can go on. So the ethics now, how did we know that one person can donate a kidney? See, because you are a person who's a donor, he's not having surgery, he's getting cut for someone else's benefit. See, it's not an emergency surgery. He is doing it for some close benefit. Is that ethical? So if you look at original science, if you read your Hippocratic oath, primum non nocere, do no harm. Isn't it? That is what. But here we are actually harming the donor. So that's how the ethics started coming in. Ethics of transplant, legal aspects came in. So this came in to say that people knew that you could live with one kidney. Because 1 in 1,000 is born with one kidney. Many people don't know that. Our Prime Minister Vajpayee had only one kidney.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Vajpayee had only one kidney. He had one kidney and he was Prime Minister and did a lot of good things. So 1 in 1,000 is born with one kidney. People who had cancer, that they would remove the kidney, or some people would, stones like that got infected kidney. So people knew that you could survive with one kidney.
But then why did all organs are one? Why did God give us two kidneys? I
That's
mean,
the
is there a
So what
logical
happens
answer?
is when you donate a kidney, or you're born from childhood with one kidney, that one kidney is bigger in size. It's God's creation. When your kidney is taken, in about a couple of years' time, the other kidney increases in size. It's called compensatory hypertrophy. So that is one of the things which you have to look at when somebody is donating a kidney, whether after donation the other kidney will function well. So we have to be very careful. So that is where the medical aspect comes. Now legally, is it how do you now we have the parents coming in saying that I want to donate kidney to my son, and this person, the father or mother, has got some medical problem. He says, I'm ready to die for my son. Can we take the kidney? That so this earlier we are not taking. Like earlier, 10 years ago, I was not taking any diabetic as donor.
Mhm.
Now I take diabetic
Really?
now I take diabetics with above 55 age and no end organ damage, because I know that person, it may take 20-25 years for him to get kidney failure. So I don't take. But the question is, as a doctor, I will always look at the donor more than even the patient, because the donor is something. So when we do the test, it is not only to see the donor matching or whatever is there. Nothing should happen to the donor in the long run.
So you actually are going beyond the science. You are going beyond the science. You are trying to protect somebody's interest that he himself doesn't know that. So you are like that godfather, the angel watching over them to
So
make
that is
sure.
one medical aspect. But there are also other, issues like, you said why God has given two. I have a very interesting. It's not science. It is
But
my
I
own.
want you to know your take on
It's
that.
not my own expert. I say God has given us two kidneys. 1 in 1,000 is one kidney. Two kidneys, one for you, one for your loved ones. In fact, I keep saying, if you have got a boyfriend, girlfriend, don't say I love you with my heart, because you can't donate your heart when you're alive. But if you say I love you with all my kidneys, you can donate one kidney and save life. So that's my mantra. I say I love you with all my kidneys.
I love you with all my kidneys, guys. That's a good mantra to have on Valentine's Day, probably. You can say that. That's an interesting take on that. Very interesting.
And then if you talk about ethics, I'll tell you this story. Uh, a lot of people think that, related transplants, it's altruistic. There is no money involvement. Only in outside donor, there's money involved.
Correct.
But in related also, there is, if not money, it's always estate or something. I don't know whether you heard a guy, cricketer called Kerry Packer. Kerry
Yes.
Packer was a famous
The
Australian
famous guy who
cricketer
got up the
who-
day-night matches and all
correct.
that.
He's the one who got the day-night matches, colored balls and all.
Correct, correct.
Kerry Packer had kidney failure, and then his so-called pilot, gave the donated the kidney, and he didn't pay any money. He said, I'm giving it to my boss out of affection. But when Kerry Packer was a millionaire or billionaire, so part of his company shares he gave. So can you call that organ sale, is organ trade? I don't know. So this sale of organ, again, is a controversial topic. But somewhere down the line, in my experience, I'll tell you this example. This 45-year-old gentleman, he had kidney failure, and his elder brother was about 55, wanted to donate. Everything was set. And a week before, the patient, the younger brother, comes and tells me, Sir, doctor, I don't want to take kidney from my elder brother. Then I knew the elder brother was not very well to do. I said, maybe he has got some thing, you expecting something benefit from you. No, sir, this is not the thing. He wants to sleep with my wife.
What?
It's a trade-off.
He wants to sleep with
Because my wife is young and she's beautiful. And he has been eyeing my wife or whatever. He says, I'll give kidney, but I want to sleep with my wife. So he said, I don't know what to do. Finally, this man disappeared, went to some other country and had unrelated. I don't know the follow-up. So that is one aspect. Then other aspect is a mother, a widowed mother. She wanted to donate kidney to the son. So she came and asked me in private, Sir, you told me that kidney transplant, there's no guarantee. I mean, no surgery. I even said some people come and ask me, minor or major? Nothing like minor, major. Ordinary dental extraction, minor can become major. Brain surgery with Q can be minor. So there's nothing minor. So we can't predict. I mean, this is the way it is. Then she said, doctor, I have a problem. I am a widow and my son is going for surgery. By chance he dies on the table or something happens, my daughter-in-law will throw me out of the house and I have no money. What do I do? So is it possible for you to get 5 lakhs from him? I'll put it in a fixed deposit and at least I can live a life, something happen. You may think it is cruel. No, I think the old lady from the village, she's got foresight.
Correct.
She wants to help the
Correct.
son. So I thought, amazing
Amazing.
way she thought about it. Isn't it? Something unbelievable. I mean, these are, and then we have one lady, young girl, she's married and she wants to donate kidney for the father. This occurred in same Vellore. And she told me, I'm ready to donate. And as per Indian law, above 18, anybody can give permission, live donor, because that's the age of consent. The upper limit, there's no legal limit. Our oldest has been 80 and 85 and all that. So this lady says, I want to donate. So we were working up. Then she said, only thing, I'm married and 3 months pregnant.
Are you?
So I said, no, you can't donate because 3 months pregnant. She said, I'm ready to abort because I love my father more than the kid which is not born.
My
I have no attachment to
goodness.
the kid. I mean, my kid.
I understand.
But my father has brought me. So can I abort and do? Uh, and CMC fellow said, no, no, you can't do that. But finally, what she did, she went and had abortion somewhere else and then gave it to another center and came back for follow-up. So, but fortunately, she went to a good center for the abortion. I've had cases where they've gone for abortion to illegal centers, and because of abortion, they've had problems. So these are ethics, legal issues which
No, but
no medical texts or only life experience
yeah,
teaches.
see what happens. What you're trying to tell me, Sundar, is that it's not black and white. The situation, the ground is so different. The emotions are so different, and no law can capture all of these things. Not at all. And you can't put everybody into one box and say you have to fit into this, because as we understand as doctors, it's never black and white. There's so many shades of gray in between. No two patients are the same, and no two situations are the same. And I think you have so succinctly showed how the society, the societal situations, and their economic background and all make such a big difference
See,
in
one
the
other thing
decision making.
also, this again another donor. This fellow from a village in Salem, he came to me and he said, "Doctor, I want to sell my kidney." And I said, "What happened?" He says, "No, sir, I am actually not doing okay, but I need 1.5 lakhs for my son's valve replacement. Otherwise, he will die. So if I give my kidney, I'll get 1.5 lakhs, and my son will be saved. I cannot save another person. So is it ethics? Is it organ sale? I don't know."
We leave it to the audience. Guys, please answer Dr. Sundar's question. He's asking, is it ethics? Is it organ sale? Is it right? Is it wrong?
And again, Sharan, how do you define ethics? What is ethics to you today? Maybe not ethics tomorrow. And now, so imagine there is a fire here. Now, I am not going to say, Sharan is my host, my friend, you go run away first. I am going to push you and run away. Or the other way. That's the reality. So when it comes to you, ethics changes.
When they say
So,
that when push comes to shove,
now,
that's why the
ethics
class.
change. I had this one particular professor in North India. He was totally against any sort of payment for organ or even compensation. I'm also not advocating sale of organ. I've come to that next, incentives and all that. So he was totally against. He would make fun of people even doing unrelated transplant. It so happened his own brother-in-law had kidney failure, and he was forced to send to another center where they're doing unrelated transplant. So then his ethics changed. So ethics is easy to preach for somebody else. So that's the same thing I have for human rights or whatever. It's easy to preach for somebody else. But when it comes to you, the same thing occurred in US. You know what happened was this guy, it was a real story told by a transplant surgeon in US. He was part of the Ku Klux Klan. Ku Klux Klan or the white supremacists. So when he had kidney failure and he was on the waiting list, the cadaver donor was a black African American. And the kidney came. This fellow said, "No, I don't want." He said, "No." Then he was going on dialysis. He was not doing so well. Second time again, he had an African American donor. He said, "No." But he became, down the line, he became very sick. Third time again, God, whatever reason gave that, he got an African American kidney and he did well. And he changed. He said, "I was a fool to think that only white race or whatever race." So, and as a nephrologist, I see blood on dialysis. When I see the blood, I can't make out it's a Hindu blood, Brahmin blood, Christian blood. No,
Correct,
blood
correct.
is same. Man. There's no
Exactly.
difference. So,
Exactly.
and I had this very interesting story. It was a very true story. I had this Bangladesh major. His name is Major Mehdi. And he was part of the Mukti Bahini, which fought with our Indian army soldiers.
Correct, correct.
So he came
Against
to India.
Pakistan.
And for some reason, we have a very big name in Bangladesh. And my colleague Dr. Ajit would say, in Bangladesh, they have given us title Hands of Allah. But in Karnataka, we are Hands of Kalla. That's a different story. So when this major came, he told me very interesting. And it was 1994. And the donor was from Tamil Nadu, a Hindu guy. So he told me, "See this thing, I am a Muslim. And the donor is Hindu fellow. And the surgeons are Hindus. And the hospital is the manager is a Christian fellow, and I'm having the benefit of this. But when I joined this, a lot of people may not like what I'm saying." He said, "When I joined the Pakistan army at the age of 17, which I didn't know," he said, in the Pakistan army, they were told you must kill the kafir. And he was part of the Pakistan army before he became Bangladesh army. So he says, this is strange. A lot of people may get angry with this statement, but it's told by this
The fact.
Bangladesh
It's the
Major
truth.
Mehdi.
Yeah, you are
I can
saying
still
that's
quote
right.
him. He told me this. And see who has saved us. So this is what I look. There's no religion, nothing in
Absolutely.
treatment. And we don't consider anybody as our enemy.
Absolutely. In fact, I tell so many people who ask me this question, I said, nobody is more secular than doctors. My own situation, I remember there was a 9-year-old Muslim boy who came with a bad head injury. He needed surgery, he needed blood, and there was no, mine was the only one. I was B positive. I donated blood for the child, and half an hour later, I was in the OT operating him.
I've
It's not
also
I
done that.
gave this one, oh, I've donated blood,
I
go home
also
and sleep.
same story. When Bangladesh boy, I O negative was, and there was no O negative blood, and I donated and then went for work in Vellore. I remember this.
So that's how it is. So that's how we are, guys. See, for us, patient is patient, life is life, rich, poor, male, female. It just doesn't make a difference for us. That is our passion. That's the thing that we get to make a difference. Yes, there are black sheep everywhere, guys. You understand? We come from the same society. We come from the same communities. And if somebody comes in, you can't black label everybody like the way Amir Khan did in that Satyameva Jayashe show. That was a crime what he did. At the end of the day, we know how many black sheep are there in the the Bollywood film industry. For him to not talk about that and talk about some other industry is a crime. If he had spoken about the black sheep there also, then we had some respect for him. In fact, I stopped watching Amir Khan movies after that.
No, but in fact, in that program, he talked of generic drugs and what's this. Now, this cough syrup is killed. What do you say of that? That is trying not to use known brand which is safe or whatever. I mean, that is the reality. That's
And
fact.
where is the corruption? The
And
corruption is somewhere else.
so
And
that,
we are only writing. That's what somebody said. The doctor who wrote the prescription has been
but
arrested.
not the
The
owner.
guy, the owner is trying to bribe everybody and go away. How does that work, guys? Think about it. I mean, how can we be responsible? Somebody is giving spurious drugs, and we know spurious drugs are there all over the world in the market, and we have no control on who's doing quality check. Quality check is not being done by us.
And you say, I mean, as you said, trust is the essence of cure. I think the trust between doctor and patients are going. I think we need more podcasts and more people talk about it, because every time when a patient comes, the first question they ask is they want to know your full qualification and all, whether what experience, what is the guarantee. So I tell them there is no guarantee. So you come on a pothole road in a two-wheeler or auto, there you're going to die every day. You got risk. But when you come and have transplant is once in a lifetime. So, but the point I keep telling my patient is, we doctors and patients, we are not enemies. We are on the same side fighting the disease which is the enemy. So we have to fight
Wow,
together.
wow, that's a
No, we
fantastic.
are fighting
Yes, yes,
together.
which is
So
true.
that is the reason I formed what is called the Kidney Warrior Foundation with a very brilliant, dynamic lady called Vasundhara Raghavan. She, very interesting story. Her son had kidney failure at the age of 10 or 12. She donated kidney, and then she had breast cancer, recovered. The son, young boy, for some reason, after some time, he developed that kidney failed, and he had to go for second transplant. And his brother donated kidney. So in the family of mother, brother, and the son. The son later on went to Canada, became a chef. He's now running his own TV show in Goa. Now, she formed a group of about 10,000 of us, Kidney Warrior Foundation, and I am on the founder member. I guide them. And Usha Utup is our patron because her son is on dialysis. We are trying to help patients. Now, what we are saying is, any patient having problem, approach the Kidney Warrior Foundation when you have a doubt. Because the problem is the feeling that if I have transplant, something will happen. Now, people don't understand that when you take 1,000 people you take 100 people on dialysis today, at the end of 10 years, 80 or 90 are dead
Oh,
with a
80 to
transplant.
90, yeah?
That's
That's a
10% mortality every year. So my maths is bad. My wife is a maths teacher, so she should correct me. So if you roughly calculate 10% every year, so with a transplant, 80 to 90% are doing well. Quality
Oh,
of life
it's
is different.
exactly the reverse.
Yes, quality of life is different. And this is now the very good dialysis machines are there. Now the machines are so good. You can have daily dialysis, you can have dialysis at home, you can have all that is there. But when I started dialysis 40 years ago, it is painful. In fact, the patient will be shouting. In Tamil Nadu, that is called IO dialysis, because the patient will be shouting, IO, IO, IO. So it is called IO. It is torture. They will have cramps, they'll have vomiting. Despite having good quality dialysis, the quality of life after
Has not
transplant,
changed, huh?
no, quality of life, dialysis, it is improved, quality is improved, survival is improved, but the quality of life, see, person on dialysis,
Oh,
people don't
yes,
know.
always attached to one
Attached
dialysis.
machine, he can't drink more than 500 ml of fluid, person on dialysis, half liter. When I say fluid, it's not water. Sambar, rasam, tea, half liter per day. And imagine a place like Vellore, a hot climate. So I remember in Vellore, they will just come, drink, feel thirsty, drink 1.5 liters, come with pulmonary edema. We call it fluid overload. Emergent dialysis, some of them would die. So that is the quality of life. Their hemoglobin will never be corrected. You have to take injection. Their marital life is not there. Very few people on dialysis have actually produced children. Whereas on transplant, I've got a lot of people who had transplant, they've got twins. In fact, one transplant, that lady's son is a surgeon. One transplant man, his son is a heart transplant surgeon now. These are rewarding stories. 35 years ago, his father had transplant. Now he's a heart transplant surgeon. And he tells me he got inspired from us. In spite of the so-called kidney scam, he inspired to take up transplant. That is commendable. So these are stories which is worth knowing.
You also were telling me one more story of that lady who broke her marriage engagement for that. Tell our viewers about that.
This is again one thing. What happens is, this is a lady from another country. She was about 25, 26, wanted to donate kidney for the mother. It so happened she was engaged, and when the fiancé came to know that she's going to donate kidney, he said, no, if you donate, I'm breaking off the engagement. So she broke the engagement, donated kidney. But this is not only case. This recently, about 2 years ago, this girl, she doesn't mind quoting her name because she's gone on social media on this, Anjali Singh, she came with her brother, younger brother. And this girl is only 27, 28, smart girl. She does trekking and all that. She said, I want to donate kidney to my brother. And she was married. And the husband's family said, you can't donate. You know what she said? I'm going to divorce and donate. Then I will come back and marry. Not a problem. It's necessary if needed. So she donated. Now, just 2 months ago, she sent me a message. Dr. Saab, thank you very much. I'm expecting a kid now. So that's very touching. And then she went about the base of Everest on trekking. And then she's
After
donation. And from there, she sent me a photograph. I'll send you the photograph also, where she says, I've been able to do it, doctor, because of your inspiration. From the base camp after donation. And your own colleague, Arjun Srivastav, neurosurgeon, he has a transplant with us. And he doesn't mind talking about this. His brother Anil Srivastav is doing amazing work on organ donation.
I know, I see both of them so active.
And Anil also the same thing. He's talked on social media. When he wanted to donate, we had some rule that time. Now the rule is changed that the spouse has to give clearance. His wife, Chetna, she said no. Because I'm worried, I got kids and all that. But then, you know what he said? I will divorce you, donate and marry you again. But then his children were two young kids. They changed the mind. They said, imagine mom, one of us has kidney failure, the other sibling will donate. Think like that dad is doing to save lives. But he's doing amazing job. He's driving all over the world. He's drawn 120 countries.
Whoa.
He's formed a new Rotary Club, which is one of its first of its kind, called Rotary Club Organ Donation. Cost-based club. Normally, Rotary clubs are city-based. So now we have this membership all over the world, and we are sponsoring transplant. But idea is organ donation. No life should be lost because of shortage of donors. And in fact, he's got his own van painted. Kidney donors are sexy. And his mother also, she was a journalist. You know her.
I know, Arjun is a good friend.
So this is the way, so that is the problem we have. So we need more people to talk about it. And I'm glad that you're bringing this topic because organ donation is a sensitive topic. It is not, see, when I keep telling them, see, when you have a heart attack, I had a heart attack at the age of 49. I was seeing the patient in the ICU and suddenly I had chest pain and very severe chest pain.
Whoa.
And I told my colleague, Dr. Manohar, who is a nephrologist in Manipal. So I said, Manohar, I got 3 small kids, man. Something happens, please take care of them. Then immediately I was rushed and angioplasty was done. And angioplasty was done by one of the junior most sort of cardiologists at that time. Now he's senior. So a lot of people ask me the question, the senior, junior, nothing like that. If you have qualified good person, go. At the emergency, that is the thing. So patients even still call us in the night, sir, something happened, emergency. Don't waste time calling on the phone. We can't do anything on the phone. Go to the nearest hospital, call the ambulance. And then, that actually heart attack changed me in many ways.
Why? Like how?
I'll tell you why. So you've done transplant, the patient will complain to me to second, third day, sir, motion agila, not pass motion at all, motion. I used to laugh at him. When I went for angioplasty, got back, I called a cardiologist. He said, you should not strain. I said, I want to bloody pass motion. I don't mind dying. So then I realized that unless you become a patient, you don't understand. You should be, then you become an empathetic, sympathetic doctor. This also occurred, when I was starting my practice in 1987, the same year I started transplant. My son, who was an interventional radiologist in Scotland, he was 4 months old. He had a very bad staphylococcal pneumonia. And those days, no ventilator, no antibiotics also.
Really?
Nothing.
Those days with what, Sundar? We are current generation. You are saying those days with, so it sounds like as if you are from Stone Age.
So we had only some gentamicin, no ventilator, pediatric ventilator.
Really?
This fellow was 4 months old. Imagine.
My goodness.
He's old.
This is in India or in Scotland?
No, he's now in Scotland.
Okay.
But in 87, when he was 4 months old, he was one of my twins.
Can you imagine, guys, how lucky all of you are and we have come out of all of those things in this country? So
4 months old, and he was in one of the nursing homes. And my colleague was a very well-known pediatrician. Now he's based in Mysore, called MD Ravi, you might know him. He was taking care. A lot of senior people would come and tell me, you should go to this doctor, that doctor. I said, I trust in Ravi because I've grown up with him. And I told Ravi, you will manage this boy. Even if he dies, I will not blame you. This son of mine, 4-month-old, he was fully cyanosed because there's no oxygen going in. And those there's nothing like vein flow and all that. Scalp vein.
Correct. I
And
remember.
then cut down in the
Cut
leg.
down, cut down.
All veins gone. And they are saying you even need amputation, something happens. And my physician, my classmate, Dr. Ravi, he is sitting at the side of the patient. His wife was delivering in Mannargudi. He refused to go. He sat there for 72 hours, took care of him. And then, that is the time, I would get calls at night. Earlier, I was reluctant to see my patient getting up because I had a lot of colleagues. Then my wife used to get upset when I go for night calls. When this occurred, she changed. She said, I know my son might die, but when I saw Ravi's face, I had a feeling that my son will live. So when you get called, even at this age, if some patient feels you will make a difference just by looking at them, please go. Because it is not just treatment may be same. Your colleague may be doing a better job. In fact, my colleagues are more
But a
brilliant.
lot of it is psychological also.
More brilliant. But the confidence, the faith, that is the trust. That is trust, faith is very important.
You have spoken to the next point, clearly faith. And I think, guys, you may be thinking, here are evidence doctors who supposed to believe in evidence-based science of allopathy are talking about spirituality, faith, and trust, and all of those things. Honestly, life is beyond just numbers. Life is beyond relationships, or beyond just transaction. These are the things I think, Sundar, that makes such a big difference in the way it is looked at. Let's change track to personal life. So you were telling me offline that you lived in the same area that I live right now, Lower Palace Orchard. You know my Peri Party, who used to make that idli.
Idli, correct.
Idli, to tell us about that. How funny that was. It is such a small world,
It is
that
a small world. I mean, came to know. I read about you in papers and all that. But then I started interacting with you when we were doing some work.
Correct.
During COVID time.
Correct.
We wanted to start some
Correct.
startup.
Correct.
All the time I got interacted.
Correct.
And then we also realized that we are sort of sambandhis.
Ama.
My
They are
eldest
related.
son's father-in-law and your father are cousins.
Correct.
That's how the story came.
Correct.
And I remember going to your grandmother's place. Morning we'd go with the idli maav to be ground, and night we would collect the thing. But those days we didn't have wet grinders at home. Now we have, but that was a very unique thing, a unique concept of business. They are, I would say, ahead of time.
I know they were quite.
Now you have got
yes.
ID mix and all those things becoming big.
Yes.
But maybe that time they didn't have that.
No, I remember they had put one machine, then suddenly they got 3 machines because one daughter had, why her husband had a problem, and then they were doing something, and we would love that whole thing. And I would sit and watch how that whole thing used to go. She used to put in the water, and how that whole thing was to get going. It was fascinating.
I
as
think
a child.
that idli is in your gene or whatever. You pass it on to Pratibha. Today we had excellent rava idli for breakfast.
All transparent at the end of the day. Perfect. So tell me, you said that you are destiny's child and you had no plan for your life. What is that statement? You sound so organized to me. You sound so clear to me, and you're saying you had no clue what was happening in your life. How did that? What do you mean?
True. Actually, I never, why I did medicine.
I don't know. You tell us. I have no clue.
You said that you wanted to be a neurosurgeon when you were a
from
kid.
Yes, from 8th standard.
I never had all that ambition.
Okay.
I studied in Delhi in the first 4 years, up to 4th standard. I studied in a Tamil medium school in Delhi. So even though I can read and write Tamil because of the Tamil medium, it was called Madrasi Education Association School. A lot of top people from the school are there. My classmate Balakrishnan is a very known cardiac transplant surgeon. A lot of people are there. So after my father got transferred, he took a job in Bangalore in the agriculture. He was a sort of entomologist, insect science. He was a PhD in those days. You can imagine from Banaras and that sort of thing. But my mother always said I should become a doctor. Because she said all her brothers are chartered accountants, engineers, doctor. So, and sad thing is, I did my PUC in St. Joseph's College, and I got 74% in PUC. In those even got 68 would get government seat. But for me, what happened was, because I didn't have domicile, I was not eligible for government seat. And some people, and my grandfather was a lawyer, Supreme Court lawyer, and he didn't believe in fudging the birth certificate, the domicile. They said, go to some Tahsildar, get domicility, you will get. He said, no. Then in Tamil Nadu, it had its own politics because I don't belong to the reserved category. It had its own, the problem there, so I didn't get. But then somebody told my father, one of his friends from Malaysia, his son was studying in a place called Manipal. He said, Manipal, they are ready to take some money. It's called capital fee. It's a small amount, 4,000, but you take some tests and your son can try. When they said Manipal, I never heard of Manipal. I thought it's Manipur. I told him, I was a child, always sitting in my mother's sort of kitchen only. I didn't have any sports activity. All the time studying, be in my mother's sort of lap only, I would say. and I would never get out.
Holding the
And I-
pallu and walking around.
Literally. So holding the sari that way only. And they said Manipal, I heard it Manipur. I said Manipur, Northeast, how do you? Then I realized Manipal is in our own south. And then I went to Manipal, and that actually changed me because Manipal is a unique place, and I had classmates, 200 of us from all over the world. 40% was Malaysians, and I stayed in the hostel first time in my life. I became independent sort of thing, and I met friends who know, even though I'm very close to them, and there's a different atmosphere. And I had great teachers, and once I finished
I saw your college picture. Devi Shetty is your classmate, right?
6 months junior to me. And 6 months junior, and Balal, who is my very good friend, chairman of very brilliant nephrologist. He was a brilliant guy. He was a year senior. Balal was so brilliant. Anybody goes into the exam after would fail by relative performance. He was so it was like, so I did my MBBS. Then I went for a year house surgency to Tamil Nadu in Chennai because my father felt my sister was supposed to get married. For some reason, he felt if we go to Chennai, the boy alliance will be better or whatever. So 1 year I was there. Then came back to Mangalore, Manipal, do my MD. And that was again a game changer because I worked with a man called B.M. Hegde. He's my Bhushan.
Oh, B.M. was a
He's
teacher?
my guru. In fact, mentor. And I am what I am. See, people may have a different opinion. They may say he's become unscientific. All that is different story. To me, I am what I am because of him. Because what happened was when I did my MD, I failed my MD. The simple reason, two of us, the top two, and Raghavendra Bhatt, who just passed away due to a brain hemorrhage in US, my age only. He was a professor of medicine, head of medicine, then went to Dubai. Raghavendra Bhatt and me both failed. The simple reason was because we are BMX student, and the internal examiner was a person who didn't like BMX. And those days politics were like that.
I mean, that in the politics is there till this day.
You won't believe, Sharan, Raghavendra Bhatt was a gold medalist. I was also gold medalist. I got PPC 6th rank. I got second rank in the second MBBS, first in physiology. I held a record which nobody had beaten in Mysore because those days Mysore, nobody had beat that sort of thing, and you fail suddenly. It's shattering. It's something like this. So, in a way, I think that failure was also responsible for me to face the 95 episode. Because the failure first time in life, especially when you're a good student.
The same thing happened to me in medicine final year. That my examiner didn't like what I said, and he pulled me down in practicals.
So, but that failure made a difference because BMX then said, you come to Mangalore and work with me in my clinic. I'll give you 450 rupees salary. You take the next attempt, you will pass. That's what happened. I worked for about 6-8 months with him. I would work in his clinic, and I learned all his bedside manners. I think that is very important. Talking to the patient. And he's the one who told me, which I know I talked to my son also. He said, be kind to your patients. Do your best. Love your patients. This is what he says. Love your patients. And he said, as a doctor,
these are not taught even today in medical school.
No. And what he said was, as a doctor, it's like a child, the child wants milk, but the mother is wanting the child to get milk. Same way your patient also should feel like that for them. And same thing I told my son, and he recently gave a talk, on walking on shoulders of giants and on mentorship. The first slide he said was, the first mentor is my father, who said, be kind to the patients, do your best. And I felt proud at the time. I think somewhere, this boy has not lived with me. At the age of 15 he went, and he's independently grown up or whatever. Somewhere that gene, whether you say it gene, and he tells me also the way he practices medicine. See, like some patients come and ask us whether we should go for a surgery. They ask for the risks and all. You tell them, if it is my son, if it is my daughter, my family, I would do this. I don't know about the science, but this is what I would do. That connects. He said, I do the same thing. Even in US, I do the same thing. It may look paternalistic.
No, but very powerful. I also do the same thing. Sundar is very powerful.
So, but this is the reality. So, you may say you're owning the patient or you're paternalistic. So I leave it to the patient. I said, it is me.
What's your opinion? Yeah, perspective.
And this again comes, Sharan, whether sometimes, many of your patients, you tell me they're, even after surgery, they're attached to you, your connection. So one nephrologist, senior man, I don't know what the name, he was telling me that you should never have emotional attachment to patient because your judgment will be biased. It may be scientifically true. So you may get biased. But I feel when a disease like this, with chronic disease, some sort of attachment makes me better doctor, I feel. I don't know. I don't know.
I agree. I completely agree.
I don't know.
I am also the same.
It's up to the patient. In fact, some patients have gone away from me thinking that I'm too paternal. But I'm happy with that. It's their choice. But a lot of patients are happy. They come and tell me, sir, I feel happy being with you. Because many times what is happening, Sharan, is I've seen you dealing with my wife who had a stroke and you did a great job talking to them. See, a lot of doctors don't spend time. They're busy only operating or signing prescription. And now what I'm worried is legal issues. Everything is legalistic. Now we are seeing, you were asking me about the cases, legal issues. So I must mention about this issue also.
Oh, that 94 crores one. Yes. Please, I was going to ask you sometime
So
later,
this
but
is
bring it on.
see, I've had many cases. I mean, Consumer Forum in the last 30, 40, many we have won. Only one case we lost due to, again, it's no fault of us. It involved a neurologist, a cardiologist, pulmonologist, nephrologist, all of us. And the simple reason of the record, you can even say, the particular judge wanted a job for his nephew in the hospital where I was working, and he was not given. So he took it against us, and the judgment was passed, and we had to pay. That's a different story. Otherwise, this 94 crore case, it was quite a shocker to me. This young boy again,
94 crores.
94 crores. This young boy, he came from some other place, Pune or somewhere, for transplant. Now, the first day, normally before dialysis, we do what is called screening tests. We do the hepatitis C, HBS, HIV, and all. The screening was negative. And
For what? Negative for?
HCV,
That is hepatitis C.
hepatitis C, hepatitis B, and HIV. These are three things we do screening, markers we call it, and then we do the dialysis.
They
Now,
do that because the blood is exchanged, so they want to make sure that patients don't
so
get.
when we did the test, initial test from our hospital came negative. Few days later, he has done the test somewhere else outside, and that came positive. So he said that we have infected the virus to him. He claims that when he was sleeping, my colleague injected the virus or told somebody to give virus, and why should they do
I
that?
mean,
Huh?
he needs
And,
psychiatric treatment.
So and then
Why
he
would
said,
any doctor do that, guys?
and he says because of the hepatitis C, he doesn't know there's something called window period. Now a lot of people don't understand even HIV.
Can you explain to the audience the window period?
When you say window period, now a lot of people talk of HIV. When you talk of HIV, it's one of the ways it's transmitted is sexually transmitted. Now, as you know, when you go to blood donation, they do HIV test. Imagine a scenario. Now, I go to a prostitute with HIV today, and I get HIV. I do the test. The test is negative tomorrow, and I give the blood. HIV is going to go into the patient, isn't it? So this is called the window period. From the time the virus enters your body to the time the symptoms or the test become positive.
There's a
That's a gap.
latent period. We call it a latent period. It's many times a couple of weeks, 4 to 6 weeks.
For HCV, it can be about 6 weeks to 6 months. So this period, so we feel, see, he could have gone to...
Must have been in the window.
So window period. So how do I know about the sexual character? We don't know. He could have got it from a barber, from a dentist, even tattoo artist. HCV can come anywhere.
In fact, our January episode, Dr. Satish Amarnath has spoken about how a doctor's entire family got infected with HIV because they were sharing the same razor at home. It's HBS, not HIV, HBsAg, because the father was a surgeon the doctor had become positive and he has transmitted to everybody.
So then we, that the fellow claimed because of this HCV, his mother had heart attack and died. And he was getting a job in Europe in Mercedes-Benz or BMW with so many thousand euros. So he said, I would have had another 30 years of my life. So that's how the calculation was. Crores, how do you...
The 94 crores he came with.
Normally people say 1 or 2 crores or whatever. So that's the amount, 94 crores he came in. And to me...
I wrote specific 94 crores, 60 or 70 lakhs or something like that.
So when I saw that, I mean, it was quite shocking to me. I mean, because my insurance cover was only 1 crore or something like that. And the hospital had some 1 crore. So, but it took a long time. But fortunately, I worked in a corporate hospital and the corporate hospital got taken over by another corporate hospital where I was working again. So the continuity of the case was there. I don't know if some other hospital had gone, what will happen. So it went on, and finally the Consumer Forum went on postponing, and 10, 12 years down the line, they acquitted us, saying that there's no negligence from our side. So, but this is a problem we have. The Consumer Forum, in my mind, is not good for doctors. I mean, you should have redressal forums. I'm not denying that. Every patient should have a redressal forum because we doctors do mistakes, not wantonly. See, as you rightly said, black sheep is the number of black sheep in medical profession is same as in the normal population.
The ratio, the same.
You got 2% bad people too. So you can't expect doctors to be angels. See, I'm not a saint, not a sinner. So I think one way to deal. See, now we are taught in medical school, which is very surprising, Sharon. Dr. Jogarao, the very famous medical legal lawyer, who's done a lot of work for us. He tells me now in the medical school you are taught that every patient who comes to you is a potential litigant. That means, to me, every patient is going to sue me. I'm looking, so I can't function properly. As a surgeon, if you're going to, with trembling hands, you will function. If you're going to think that I'm going to operate on the brain, something is going to happen. How will you operate?
I'll give you an answer to that. I've heard this in America, where everybody in America, US says every patient is a potential litigant. And it actually hit me at that time when they said that. And like I said, I want to be a neurosurgeon from 8th standard and I'm living my dream. And I was thinking, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I? Then one day I made a decision. I said, as neurosurgeons, I am not treating less risky patients at all. Either I shut up shop and just start doing, cold cough fever treatment, which is also not without its risk, or I say I have to leave it to, destiny, faith, God, whatever it is. And that's what I have done. Right today, I am known as one of the people who does high risky surgeries, and I don't mind doing that. I pray before every surgery. And so, so that, I get the right wisdom to do the right thing. And especially when there's a breakdown or some challenge that I'm having, how can I get out with minimum collateral damage? And that I think, Sundar, is amazing. As I'm scrubbing for my case, I'm praying. Every single case. And as I'm going inside the brain, I'm praying. Every single time. So I'm in that zone. I tell nobody to talk to me at that time. I'm in that zone. I don't want anybody to disturb me. I'm in that space. And I think that for me has made a big difference. And, many times, because the body behaves differently, all results are not the way you want it to be, because 1+1 is never 2 in medicine. But I think 26 years down the path of what I have done, I have no regrets. I will continue to do what I'm doing for the next 26 years, as long as God willing, this and this works very well for us to do what I want to do.
I think this is very important of faith, religion as a doctor. What you said is true. As a doctor, if I keep analyzing every day what I've done is right or wrong, I can never do any work.
Correct.
And my surgeon doctor, will go again, very religious guy. As you rightly, morning he starts his operation. Earlier days when his mother was alive, he would always take her blessing, then only go for surgery. And then prayer. He would start with prayer and do the transplant. Now, I have many instances where prayer has made a difference in patient's life itself. So
Please tell.
I was trained in a place called Christian Medical College, Vellore. It's a
Correct.
Christian institution.
Correct.
But they never, a lot of people may say that they try to convert or whatever. I have never had that problem, to be honest. And my teacher was a man called Meshak Jnanamuttu Kribakaran. The father was a priest from Tirunelveli. He would always say, start the Monday with prayers. He would say, you pray, whichever God, pray well for the sake of the patient. Once I remember a difficult patient coming, we didn't know what was happening. Then I was the registrar doing my DNB nephrology. I sat with him because we would help him. Then he called the patient and he said, Dr. Sundar, me and you, all of us will pray for a correct diagnosis. He said, when we pray, Jesus or Krishna is not going to come suddenly and say, this is the diagnosis. No, it will be somewhere where somebody will give a spark. It may be junior most nurse, it may be technician, or you yourself may get some thought. This is the way it is, and you would do that. Now, a lot of patients talk of guarantee in transplant. I'll tell you, this is a ISRO scientist who came to me. He came for transplant, and his wife asked me, "Can you give guarantee, doctor?" I said, "Your husband is a rocket scientist," and that day, divine incident. Front page of one of the newspaper had the ISRO chairman carrying a piece of his satellite to Tirupati and praying there.
Correct.
Then I said, Madam, see, this man is a rocket scientist. Rocket he has made, he's taking God's blessings. I am trying to repair God's kidney. What guarantee can I give? She's accepted and had transplant. Now, I'll give many episodes on faith. I had this Islamic scholar, Maulana Riyazur Rahman. In fact, I have spoken to his son. He wants us to talk about this story.
Okay.
This Maulana,
Where is he from?
He was from Bangalore Jama Masjid.
Oh, he's
He
a
was
Bangalore.
great Islamic scholar, and he was so powerful. If he says don't drink coke, people will not drink coke. That sort of fatwa he could give. Now he had a triple vessel heart disease, so he had gone to a well-known cardiac surgeon who had just entered Bangalore, and that surgeon didn't want to take risk on this man because operating, suppose somebody he would have to stop his business.
Correct.
You know who it is. So, but he had kidney failure. He was on CAPD, and somebody said, "Go and meet Dr. Ajit and Dr. Sundar. They will do the transplant." So he came to me, and I said, "You got this heart problem. Most probably you will die on the table." You know what he said? Dr. Saab, Allah will take care of my heart. You and Dr. Ajit, I know he's got hands of Allah. Do the transplant. He does the transplant.
He said like this, sir?
Same thing, same words.
Amazing.
And you won't believe, Sharan, on the day of his surgery, I had all top Muslim leaders from Roshan Beg to you name it, Ibrahim, all standing outside. And imagine I was also praying to my God, whatever. And he did well for 10, 12 years. And he was a brand ambassador for me. He took me to the mosque. I attended his prayer. And in those days, his prayer thing would be recorded on cassettes and sold in cassettes. And when he died, he told me before, when he had he said, Dr. Saab, do you know in our Islam religion, when the child is in the 3rd month of the womb, it is written where when we will die. You are not going to say, same thing, your Bhagavad Gita also says, Lord Krishna says, you are not the doer. If you listen to Arjun statement, what he says, you think you are killing people. No, same thing is written in that religion. He said, you are not going, you don't decide. And he told me that my desire is to die in Mecca. So what he did was he used to go every year to Mecca, and he died in Mecca of a massive heart attack. His kidney was functioning well, and he was buried in Mecca, one of the few people to bury it. And then afterwards, his family had a huge function in the Rajbhavan. I was one of the guests. They made a book. They write about this. So this is one of the faith. So how do you explain this? Now, suppose I had refused this transplant,
Yes.
thinking that he's going to die or whatever. Again, because I had also faith. And the son told the same thing. When I sent him this article on spirituality and medicine, he said, we also believe in that. And we respect you for that. And same way it occurred, we had one hotel manager. His wife, a Punjabi lady, she had transplant. Now, after transplant, she had something, it is not fungus. No, earlier days it's called fungus. It's called nocardiosis. And the treatment for that is sulfa. Septran is a treatment. Now, this lady told me that she's allergic. I can't take Septran. We can't do anything. So, only way we could do was we had to remove the kidney and stop all the drugs. The steroid, cyclosporin, immunity. That's why immunity will improve. So, the husband said, okay, my wife is important, kidney is not important. So, we had planned the surgery for removing the graft. This is a real story. Graft nephrectomy. Now, morning is the surgery. Dr. Ajit is going to see the patient to mark and all that. Just before the husband comes running, doctor, my request, please don't do the surgery. I had a dream. I had a dream of Ganesha coming and sitting on my wife's groin area, and I feel you should not do anything. We will take the risk of and that time my pulmonology was a guy, well-known pulmonologist, Dr. Satish, you know him, K. Satish. So Satish said, give the chance, start Septran, no harm, and we will see what happens. Within a month, the nocardiosis disappeared, and she lived 10 years after that. Now, we could have removed the kidney, but
it is beyond science. All this is beyond science.
But how do you, suppose she had died, they would have said, you should have removed the kidney. It can go both ways, Sharan. Fortunately, it went this way, but how do you explain this to the common people? So, as a doctors, we have this difficult dilemma. We call it Dharma Sankat. Do the damned if you do, damned if you don't. That is the reality. So, this is a real life story, real episode.
And what Dr. Sundar is trying to say, guys, is that this is how for us life is every single day. 24/7 sometimes, we don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning, we have to make decisions like that, which can be life altering or life changing for everybody at the end of the day. And that's how we live. We live by the sword all the time. So that's the way it is. And we don't regret that at all, because God has given us this science to help other people, to make other people alive and the best as we can. I think we'll continue to do what we are doing. I think that is
the point. Continue to do what you do with the feeling that you're doing the right thing.
Correct.
See, that is where trust and faith is important. And because of this faith, we are able to face things. As you rightly said, operating, not operating, is a difficult decision.
Yes, it's very difficult.
There's no right or wrong.
Yes,
as you rightly said, human body is not mathematics. 2 plus 2 is not 4.
Yes, never.
It can be 3, it can be 5. And the same patient, it can vary.
Different days. Yes, I agree with you.
Predict that? I am not against science. Science and spirituality go together accordingly. They are complementary. Yes. They are not competitive. They are not competitive.
I agree.
So, and if you read the story of Dr. Abdul Salam, the first sort of Pakistani to get Nobel Prize, he was a deeply religious guy. That's what he says. I see science in Quran. So there is connection. He says, I get solace. So getting that solace is also important. See, you can go to a psychiatrist, you can do all that. But each one has a way of dealing with things. But I feel trust is important. Trust in faith, faith in trust. Both are important.
That's an interesting dialogue. I want to say one thing about the guarantee that patients ask. A lot of patients ask me for guarantee. So I would actually ask, when I was, growing up in my career as a neurosurgeon, and that would trigger me. I said, what is this guarantee? In my mind, it's all of those things going on. Is this a fridge? Is this a phone? Is this that? And then I realized that, they were clutching on to something to hope for us to say something. And they're not wrong in what they're saying. Maybe the guarantee word may be wrong. They want a reassurance that everything will be okay, or whatever it is at the end of the day. So then, what, I do 2 things. I want to share this with you. One is, if it is a non-emergency, and I say, what's the guarantee? I said, one guarantee. If I don't operate, your son is going to die. That's a guarantee.
What we don't know, do what happens. Correct.
Even if it is 5% chance, 5% is better than 0.
Very good point.
This is the first thing. And if it's a brain tumor, anything else, as I said, there are two ways to make a decision. See, I'm not saying, accept my decision or my advice. One thing is, you decide the risk of doing, the benefit of doing. The risk of not doing, the benefit of not doing. Then you decide which is better. And it's different for different people. A brain tumor in a 25-year-old person is very different from an 80-year-old person. And sometimes you should be masterly. Inactivity is as important as being very aggressive to take it off.
I think that is where the experience comes, when not to do.
Yes,
That's very
and that
important.
yes, and I repeat, yes, thanks for saying that. I tell all, after I became a neurosurgeon, I would tell all my juniors, if you are going to be a good training institute, the first thing you should come out from that is what not to do.
Correct.
What to do is a lifelong learning.
Correct.
You will never end
Correct.
learning what you
every day, every minute.
every day. But that what not to do, when not to operate, when to come out, when to hit a pause button, where you may lose the battle but win the war at the end of the day. Very, very important. I think I have no regrets. I got the best training and some of the best teachers in neurosurgery. Like you said, no regrets at all about that.
And I think your point, I also tell one more thing about guarantee. And this again, thanks to my colleague, Dr. Ajit. He says, I will guarantee that I'll do my best. That guarantee I can give, but I can't guarantee the results. That is the reality. I will guarantee I'll do my best. So, and rightly said, if you don't do, and the other thing about age, very important. See, a lot of patients now, the last 2 weeks ago, I gave a talk on aging kidneys for a geriatric group of doctors, geriatrician. And they said, very good talk, because I didn't pick science. I said, what happens when somebody is elderly, whether 85-year-old fellow with multiple malignancies and all that, he has kidney failure, chronic kidney failure, should we put him on dialysis? Is it needed? So you have to look at the pros and cons, whether we want to give prolonged life or just give good quality life. See, now what happens in the corporate world, I'm sorry to say, people are not counseling on that, because every day in the ICU you make money. And then end of the day, 10, 15 days, 15, 20 lakh goes, patient is selling their property, and then that's where the litigation come, I feel. Most of the time, this is where you have to tell the patient, especially the finance you have to discuss first. See, there are government hospitals, and some reason in India, unfortunately, people think that government hospitals are not good, which is not correct. I know they're overworked, they're doing great work. You can't deny that. So they're doing work. Like you said, neurosurgeon, Iman's doing, but they're overworked. I mean, that's
And where institutions like us, the Bhagwan Mahavir Jain Hospital that I work in, where we have a charitable place, I think we are the in between a government
in
and a
between the
completely
government. So that's
private.
what they have to choose.
Yes,
So
I agree.
that is the problem we have, that. And so when we talk of age, so my oldest transplant was 80 plus. Very interesting story. This man, he was diagnosed with kidney failure, and he was on dialysis for about 2 years with me. And it so happened that he was also having a girlfriend, which I didn't know. And then his wife died.
Mm.
Then he got married to that lady. At the age of 75, 76, he got married. And every time, he would sleep with his wife, that night he will go into pulmonary edema because of the sexual activity and my registrar's married life was getting affected because he had to come every night to dialyze. So we suggested go for transplant. You won't believe, at the age of 77 or 78, he had a transplant and lived for about 10 years more with a good life he had. Same way we have older donors who are donated. And then I had again one more MLC from Davangere. He also, same story. He had kidney failure. His wife was different blood group, much younger, 15, 20 years, but she couldn't donate. But he had a girlfriend for 30 years of different religion, but she was more rich than him. They have written books together, it's scientist sort of thing. She donated kidney and he lived for another 10 years. So age per se is not a problem.
I agree.
So it is what we call frailty. Just because somebody is old, it is not the chronological age.
I was just going to say that.
It's not that.
It's the biological age rather than the
In fact,
chronological
my
age.
colleague, Dr. Georgie Abraham, he's writing this book on spirituality, religion.
Yes, you wrote a chapter in
I
that.
wrote a chapter.
Yeah,
That's what I wrote.
correct.
His story is also very interesting. Like, this fellow is a brilliant scientist, Georgie Abraham, and he's a brilliant clinician. He treats all the VIPs.
Dr. George Abraham.
Georgie Abraham. So he was trained in Vellore, then went to Canada, then UK, many years in UK. And he was married for many years. And he was infertile. He went to the number one leading, steptoe and who did the Louis Brown, the first test. That sort of IVS experts. 10 years he tried, no children. One of his classmates from Mangalore, because he did MD actually senior to me in KMC Mangalore, Dr. B.M. Megre student only. So one of his friends told me there is some Ayurvedic physician in some village in South Canada. So he went to that Upadhyaya and that man gave him some Legia and said, you take this, your wife will get pregnant. 1 month, nothing happened. So this man came back again and he said, nothing is not working. Then he said, how are you taking the medicine? He said, you are taking it wrong, take it. Within a few months, she got pregnant, he got a daughter, the daughter has got a child. And he has mentioned that about Ayurveda. He's a scientist, clinician, brilliant guy, president of my Transplant Society. He writes in his chapter about this. So I don't know to criticize Ayurveda. I'm not supporting Ayurveda. I don't know. Many patients come and ask me, sir, can we go for Ayurveda? I said, I don't know. It's not my field. But I can't combine both. But if So I can't comment on that. It's a difficult thing, and I'm surprised. See, I'm happy actually. In your center, you got an Ayurvedic center. I think holistic approach is what is made. And see, now present day, everything is treatment. The word healing is not there. You have to heal. And if you look at the WHO, the definition of health, you would have read in your preventive SPM, those days SPM Parker. What is definition of health? Health is not social, mental, physical well-being, not merely absence
That is
of
the
disease
disease,
or
deformity, infirmity,
isn't
and
it? So that is the thing which is no, healing is part of that.
in fact, if you see my personal website, it says I am fundamentally a healer. Very, very important. Like you said, you have forgot. Coming back to Ayurveda and so-called alternate systems. See, this alternate systems is also a misnomer. Actually, allopathy medicine is much newer than the original medical system that was there. So that itself is to say that we are superior. As an allopathy doctor, I make this statement. I'm making it in front of camera now. I tell them, if allopathy medicine was so great, all the advances we have had, all the medicines, this, that, the world is sicker than before. Truthfully, all of us should have been in great
You
health.
should be immortal.
Exactly. That's not happening. And people are dying younger. So that means there's something fundamentally missing in what's going on. So about a couple of years ago, there was this mixopathy, Galata was happening. Ayurvedic doctors were going to get an MBBS degree with some, bridge course and all of that. Big Galata was happening. In the heat of the debate, I was invited by the government Ayurveda college in Bangalore to come as a special guest for their convocation. They were surprised that I agreed because they thought I would not agree. So anyway, I went there and they wanted me to give a talk. So I told them this. See, I come from the allopathy industry, which is the sickness industry. Our entire job, if you see, is to make the patients less sick. We are not taught to make the patient well. This is the reality of the process. So if you look at this whole continuum of sickness to wellness as one chart, allopathy medicine is coming from sick to less sick. The things like Ayurveda is coming from wellness to less well. There is a place where the pattern should change over beautifully, because I feel that allopathy medicine is great for emergency, surgery, critical care, stenting, all of those things. Chronic care, I think we fall way short of what we can do. And if we can take alternate systems of medicine that can do with lesser side effects and things like that, I think we'll have a beautiful complementary system running where we choose the right systems available to make a big difference. And that's what I tell everybody. What do you
I think I agree with you. In fact, emergencies, like if you have kidney failure, chronic kidney failure, Ayurveda cannot cure it, make the kidney. So you have to go for dialysis or whatever transplant. In fact, you will be surprised. I've had 3 or 4 Ayurvedic professors who had transplant with me, and they would come in the night to have dialysis because they are claiming. So these are things should not be done.
That should
They
not
should
be.
be honest.
Yes, you should be
So,
honest.
and I am honest
Yes.
saying that my system I don't know.
Yes.
So Ayurvedic fellow also should be honest, say it doesn't work.
That is what is harming
That
the
is,
system.
that is their
They're saying
understanding.
100% cure.
No,
That
don't
doesn't
give
work. That all of us should know the limitations, where we are good at. Work what you're good at, guys. Even I am not good at all neurosurgical procedures. I know what I'm good at, what I'm not so good at. I send my patients to who's the best for that. And people ask me, sir, why are you not? I said, because he's better than me. You please go then. I have nothing, because I can't be the best batsman, best bowler, best wicket. I can't do all of that, boss. It's a lifetime learning for everything that we have to do.
So what you said is true, but this a lot of Ayurvedic people claim, they have reverse patients on dialysis. I want people to understand there is a term called acute on chronic kidney failure. So when your kidney is damaged some 30-40%, there is an acute event like you have fever or diarrhea, then you are tilted towards dialysis, and you are on dialysis for a few months sometime, or sometime permanent. You can't predict that. Now, when that acute element gets away, you're off dialysis. This is what happens to the Ayurvedic treatment, claiming that a reverse dialysis patient. I've had many like that. In fact, why did we get the title Hands of Allah in Bangladesh? This was a very interesting case. We used to go to Bangladesh, see some patients. One particular patient was on dialysis, and then for some few months he was on dialysis, and he said, I'm coming to India for transplant. For some reason, the local, I think 30, 40 years, they didn't have ultrasound, whatever. We did an ultrasound. We found kidney with a stone, and he had a single kidney, which was blocked. So Dr. Ajit said, now just remove the stone. I think maybe kidney will improve. And we sent to urologist because we thought cystoscope. But that fellow was, no, sir, only Dr. Ajit, you have to operate. You won't believe, he did an open surgery when endoscope surgery is available, because the patient said only you have to operate, removed the stone, kidney failure reversed, and he was off dialysis. Then he gave the title, Hands of Allah. You go there. Because it's an acute kidney failure which is reversed. And this story, Dr. Mani, Dr. Mani is my senior nephrologist, very well known nephrologist. He did Jayaprakash Narayan. Very interesting. You must read his autobiography. You know what is the title of autobiography? It is called Yamaraja's Brother. You know why? Because he says Yamaraja takes life. we doctors take life and money. So Emerald's brother takes both. So that was his title. And in this,
And he's a nephrologist.
he's a top nephrologist. He treated Jayaprakash Narayan, MGR. He's different categories. Padma Bhushan, very down to earth. But he's the one who said you should not be emotionally attached to patient. That's a different story. But he gives an example how one patient with kidney failure from Jaslok, Bombay, somebody had told him, they went to Vellore. First they came to Vellore, and then they in Vellore they said you got kidney failure. And those days we didn't have ultrasound, some imaging techniques. They said your kidney creatinine is very high. You have to go for dialysis transplant. This fellow had no money, it seems, and he went into one of the rickety bus, and he said, anyway, I'm going to die. I don't have money. So he got down and he took that ice candy, that gola like thing.
Gola.
He started sucking. Suddenly he had severe pain, and he passed blood with urine, and his kidney started passing urine, kidney failure cleared. Maybe he had a stone obstruction came off. So when Jayaprakash Narayan had kidney failure, this man wrote to Dr. Mani, please give him ice candy to suck. That will cure his kidney failure. That is in a lighter way.
Like the vaccination program you have.
Correct.
Okay, so when we were preparing for the podcast, you asked me, why did you start this podcast? And I told you that, Dr. Sundar, the knowledge of public's knowledge of medicine, of neuroscience is so abysmally poor somewhere, the Patala Loka. So I thought I took it on myself to educate them with the right information so that people, rather than somebody, layman person giving them, hodgepodge information and not right way. And I also felt, as I've gone through, doctors are more comfortable to talk to another doctor because I know exactly what question to ask them and what nuanced answer to get, which is public friendly at the end of the day. And when I said this, you said you had the level of knowledge of kidney and renal thing was the same. So give us I love that story. Actually, you should tell that story.
Important because a lot of people don't know what. In fact, very interesting. I became a nephrologist because of a neurosurgeon, Dr. R.M. Verma. He was well known.
Yes, you were telling me that. Oh, he is like the man who made Nimhans and everything.
So my mother had trigeminal neuralgia, and our neurosurgeon, our relative also, was a man called B. Ramurthy, equally brilliant man.
Correct.
So we went to Dr. B. Ramurthy, and my mother had trigeminal neuralgia, and she was given this Tegretol.
So we have our episode Trigeminal Neuralgia with Dr. Sadashiva Nair. Please watch it, search on the YouTube channel, watch it.
So, but my mother had side effect to that
medicine.
She had leukopenia and all that. So we went to Dr. Ramurthy. He said, don't come to me. There is a wizard. That's why, again, as you said, that something, even though he's a great neurosurgeon, he's referring to another neurosurgeon as a wizard. He said, go to...
Ramurthy is calling Dr. R.M. Verma wizard.
He's a wizard in trigeminal neuralgia. And he will inject alcohol into the trigeminal nerve and he can do it blind. So we went, and I was in Mallige Medical Center where I took my mother, and I just finished my MD, just married, no job, nobody was giving me a job. I was trying to run a clinic with no money. Whatever rent I was paying, it was all going somewhere else. But I went and I was waiting for Dr. Ramurthy, and then my mother was injected. It's a wizard, without affecting the eye, only the nerves, and my mother didn't have any problem with 20, 30, 40 years.
My goodness.
No
really?
symptoms. No symptoms.
Amazing.
Except a little bit swallowing a little bit. And then but also became, mouth would be a little tilted, but again she became all right. Now, when I was waiting in the thing, the owner of the hospital, Dr. Sriram, he came and said, oh, young man, what are you doing? I said, sir, I finished MD. I don't know what I'm doing. He said, see, I got a dialysis machine. Imported now, and I've sent one Dr. Lata Jagannathan for training to Seattle. But for some reason, Dr. Lata is well known Rotary TTK Blood Bank. Her husband just passed.
I know. That same Lata. Huh?
So she is supposed to run it, but she's very busy with other things. Can you get trained in dialysis and then come and run it for us? I said, at least something I have. No, he said there is one man called Dr. Talwalkar who is considered the father of nephrology. You go and meet him. So Talwalkar had come down in 79 from Bombay to start the Bangalore Kidney Foundation. So in 1982, I go to this dialysis in a whole building in Jayanagar. I still remember. I waited for Talwalkar, and he came and said, what do you want? I said, Dr. Sriram has told me, get trained in dialysis. He was very smart. He said, see, Dr. Sundar, I have done MD. I don't have any degree in nephrology. But then down the line, if you're not qualified, you may not be wanted, or people will not accept you. Why don't you try to get qualified? So then I was wondering where to go. So there was one urologist, Dr. Annamalai, was there, and he said, I have a close friend in Chennai, one Dr. American, go and meet him, he'll give you. And those days, selection for DNB and all, no entrance and all that. They can decide. The boss gives 2 years certificate, you take the exam. So I went there, Dr. American said, join tomorrow, no problem. But only no salary, you have to work in my clinic from afternoon. I was married. And when I came out, people said, are you a fool? I mean, you can't do all that.
I went through the same thing.
A few months' time, Dr. Meshak Jnanamuthu Kribakaran, somehow suddenly from Divine Thing, he comes to Bangalore to give a talk on kidney transplant, invited by Talwalkar. So backstage, I go and meet him and said, sir, I want to do nephrology. Can you? This was November of 1982. He said, next month there is some opening. Can you come for an interview in December? I go there for the interview. And that time I was telling everybody I'm going to nephrology. One professor of medicine, nephrology, what is that? I never heard of this specialty. People have not heard of this.
Really? And professor of medicine had not heard of
Not
it.
heard.
My goodness, 1982.
In our days, it's only cardiology and neurology. So if you look at long case, will be some stroke, cardiology, mitral stenosis, some pleural effusion. Never had nephrology case. And now I think back, all those nephrology cases were missed as anemia, hypoproteinemia. But actually, they were nephrotic syndrome or chronic. They might have missed out. So I go for the interview, and I was wondering what to do because I'm new to the place. And Velour's had a big name, and I'm coming from a private medical college where there's no training in nephrology. I was wondering what to do. Then I thought I may not get the seat. Then fortunately, I was the only guy who had applied.
Oh.
They had to give me.
Providence.
I was destined.
Oh, you're Destiny's child.
Destiny.
That's
So
why
I
you said
just
you're
joined,
Destiny's
and
child.
That's how the whole story came. Then 85, I finished my training. I didn't take the exam because the exam was after a year later. So I came and joined St. John's Medical College for 3 months in the Department of Urology under Joseph Anthony to run the dialysis. But I was not happy because I wanted to be in private practice. So St. John's didn't allow private practice those days. And Ramaya had just started general medicine department. I applied for a job, joined Ramaya. It so happened there were 2 other nephrologists. One fellow senior to me from now he's in Pittsburgh, big guy. Other guy now in UK, big guy. They were senior to me, and I was third nephrologist. No dialysis machine. Imagine my state. Dr. Ajit has just come back from training in Chandigarh, and 1 transplant surgeon, 3 nephrologists, wondering what is the future. But everybody was saying, see, you're the junior most and saying, what is your future? I said, I never think like that. God will plan the future. Very interestingly, within a year, this guy, one guy, Srinivas, he went off to US. Canada, US, settled there. Now he's president of the Pittsburgh Temple and all that. Very close to me now. And the other guy went to UK and settled there. So I was the only one. And then at that point, Ramaya decided we should start transplant. So my surgeon said, okay, but we have to get, he's just started his transplant career. So we got a guy from Hyderabad, Dr. Saharia, and we started the transplant in 1987. The first patient was the relative of the anesthetist, man called Kanti. He was treating, his name is Kantirwa Balas Kanti. Now, his relative, we did the transplant. We did about 87 to 91, we did a transplant. 91, they decided, Ramaya decided, we start an Institute of Nephrology and Transplant. So Dr. Ajit and me, by 4 years, we had done many transplants. We are sort of young and overconfident. Whatever. That man, Kanti, was an anesthetist. And he said, the institute we started, director will be me.
Me means he?
He, anesthetist. Dr. says, Dr. Ajit's wife, Meda is anesthetist. That's a different story. He told, you are anesthetist, you will be anesthetist. You can't be director. Then it should be either Sundar or me. They didn't agree. So we resigned. We didn't have any money, nothing. And we had one bank manager, deputy manager, Joseph. He told me, I'm working for Indian Bank. I can give you some loan. Can you start your own dialysis machine? And the dialysis machine guy was pestering me. You must start. And we got a floor in Lakeside Hospital that time. And we started.
Oh, that's how you moved to Lakeside.
We started our own institute. So we were having, actually, Dr. Ajit and me were having beer. And Dr. Ajit said, what do you think we should name our institute? I said, this man called Kanti, K-A-N-T-I, throws out. So we will call it Karnataka Nephrology Transplant Institute. You won't believe, 25 years we had a brand. We were top 5 in the week magazine without spending any money. Only we closed it in 2017 as a partnership firm. Otherwise, it was still functioning. Even though in Bangladesh, Kanti. So that's how our journey started. So life takes its own course. But it's very interesting that, and for the inauguration, we actually called him. He thought we honored him. It was
guy. It's a back left-handed compliment.
That is the real. So when I joined Vellore, that was 82, 83 I joined. The first year, whenever you tell anybody with kidney failure, they won't understand what is kidney. And then every week I would get a reference with kidney swelling. It is actually a scrotal swelling called hydrocele, which is very common. There's a kidney swelling. And then when you tell a person that your, the wife or mother can donate kidney, the man will say, especially in North India, sir, gurda de sakte hain? Because for them, gurda is the scrotum. And that is the kidney. That is the knowledge. In fact, to that extent, even
so that's how much the public's knowledge of kidney was.
Because when you say kidney is making urine, for a long time, my own family members, they thought kidney is penis. So jokingly, they will tell me when some people get married, ask him not to use the kidney too much. And you won't believe, when the so-called scam occurred, there is a cartoon in one of the Kannada magazine, actually one fellow holding both hands below his scrotum, saying that they will steal kidney. That is the knowledge. But then things change. MGR had kidney failure and people knew that he needs transplant. all the journals, including yellow journals, blue journal, whatever, they all had articles. What is kidney? What is dialysis? What is transplant? In 1 year's time, Sharon, I was there from 82 to 85. So next, all we would say was, you got MGR, Kyle MGR Vyadi. Then immediately the response, sir, peritoneal dialysis, hemodialysis, transplant, they knew everything. So I feel we need more VIP stuff.
Kidney problem and talk about it.
I think that's why even when I talk of age in kidney, people don't know that, Rajinikanth 75 is that transplant. And Lalu Yadav was at 75. Umar Abdullah 77. I mean, people don't know that it is possible to lead a good life with a transplant. So A per se is not a problem. I keep coming.
So MGR was.
In fact, when I give a talk on kidney, I always put MGR's photo. 2 photos I put. Jayaprakash Narayan, because that is the time people knew what is dialysis. Other people didn't know. So Jayaprakash Narayan revolutionized what is dialysis, what is vascular access, all that. It came front page news of many newspapers. And it was MGR who changed the concept, because MGR had 2 transplants. Interestingly, MGR's wife Janaki also had transplant. At that point of time, the governor of Tamil Nadu, Chennareddy, also was transplant. So that is why, even now, according to me, the best transplant scenario in the government setup is Tamil Nadu.
Because of this.
The free dialysis, free transplant they do. Smallest hospitals in Tamil Nadu do transplant. Whichever be the government, the DMK, ADMK, whichever, their system is very good. If you look at disease donor transplant, they are the leaders. Because, they do underrate all, but this is they are the leaders. They are the number one sort of thing. Now Gujarat is catching up. Gujarat is doing amazing work in the government institute. But that's why we look at eye donation. Till Aishwarya Rai said that I will pledge my eyes, eye donation was not common. We are getting, you won't believe, cornea was coming from Sri Lanka. Do you know that?
Oh, I didn't know that.
40 years ago, 50 years ago, we were not getting cornea locally. Because nothing like corneal eye donation. It was coming from Sri Lanka because the Buddhist monks would donate. So that is the reality. So we need celebrities to talk about it. I think the more podcasts, I think you should get probably celebrity, not me, to talk.
You are a celebrity. Come on, Sundar. We'll find somebody if it does. They can go to the mainstream media and speak about it. We will give authentic information here. That I think what you said was very valuable about see guys. So where nephrology was 30, 40 years ago, neuroscience is now slowly getting there to know what is going on. And I think we'll also, especially functional neurosurgery, even last week I gave a talk in Davangere and many of the doctors sitting in the audience said, we have never seen diseases like this. Forget about that. We knew it could be treatable. And I showed videos of my patients. So there's so much
science. I mean, so you are a spiritual person, you believe in science. Same, I'm a strong believer now there's organ shortage. I'm actually now watching in my lifetime, it will be xenotransplant. People don't know what is xenotransplant. It's taking organ from animals. Now, pig to human transplant has become quite this thing sort of popular. And
it's happening, huh?
Happening.
Oh?
US already done.
Really?
FDA approved pigs are there now. It's called transgenic pigs, not any pig. These are bred in the lab where the human genes are there, so they don't have a rejection. So what this man, there's a guy called Robert Montgomery, very interesting guy. This fellow has got congenital cardiomyopathy and he has had a heart transplant himself. He is the kidney transplant surgeon, heart transplant patient. And recently, last week, he was in Jaipur for our transplant meeting. And he is doing this xenotransplant where he takes kidney from transgenic pig. And he did a very interesting thing.
Xeno is XENO, guys.
XENO, which is from a different species.
Oh.
See,
which is bred and designed and bred only for transplant.
So it's not the regular pig. See, we had, a lot of people talk of a pig transplant done by Dhaniram Barua in Assam.
Correct.
But that was not a transgenic pig. The regular pig done in a
So is that only for kidney?
No,
you can take any organ.
China has done lung transplant for pigs. No, last week. So liver is possible. So what this Montgomery did was, initially, how to say whether it works. So he took a brain dead person and put the transgenic pig into the kidney. Because brain dead is anyway dead. So as a research, FDA gave permission, and that kidney worked for some time. Then on a regular person who had kidney failure, he did. That kidney worked for some time and one of them died. But these are all learning curves. A lot of people say, because we have, when you take from animals, even though it's transgenic pigs, they have something different viruses, which may not come harm to the pig. So these are called zoonosis. So your HIV also, they say it came from African gorillas.
Like how COVID came from the bats.
So like that. So this zoonosis, we don't know about it. But I'm still hopeful. I'm actually hopeful some particular day that suppose I know that some point I'm going to get kidney failure or something. My genes are put into a particular pig. And that sort of pig
customized.
So it may look, again, it's very ethically also very questionable. Is it legal to kill kids, pigs? No, ethically we have a lot of this moral. How do you define? Again, see, so when we say cow is to be protected, they get upset. But they'll say cow is, or they'll say you should not celebrate this festival because this animal. But there are certain religions where they're sacrificing animals. So I'm not saying it is wrong, but you can't be judgmental. I'm saying.
No, I was just going to comment. See, both of us are vegetarians, but at the end of the day, if you're killing animals to eat, there's no morality, and you are now taking an organ from an animal to save a life. I mean, where is morality difference in this? I don't understand this differential morality. Anyway, it's not for us to discuss.
No,
You know,
that's
we
it.
are
The
discussing.
transgenic, that is one of the things. If you talk of the the problems, one of the problem which we foresee is the animal rights activity, the PETA and all. Whether they will say that you are breeding. See,
They all
breeding.
get funded by
So,
people, I think, because they only show up on Diwali time and
correct.
holy time and all of that, and
So,
give all the gyan and
but
then
I'm hopeful for this xenotransplant to catch up. In fact, in December there's a conference in Lucknow, which I've been asked to chair one session on xenotransplant. A lot of work is done by Indian nephrology. There's a nephrologist from Hyderabad, Dr. Raviraj. His son is actually doing great work in the xenotransplant in US. So very interesting concept, and so the future.
continuing what you said just now. I saw that interview of yours on Al Jazeera, okay, where the government of Singapore is trying to legalize organ buying or organ sale or whatever it is. Can you tell us what's forcing the Singapore government to go down this path?
I'll tell you, very interesting. See, this occurred, about 20 years ago. One of this top Singapore business fellow, man called C.K. Tang, he had kidney failure, and then he got somebody to donate kidney, saying, and then that became sort of a scam sort of thing in Singapore. Then they were wondering what we can do. So the Singapore government felt that you should have incentives for organ donation. See, it is not just sales. The Singapore government doesn't allow.
It's not a one-time
No,
transaction.
and Singapore government doesn't allow some going to the market or buying like that.
And we know Singapore government is one of the most
Correct.
regulated governments.
So what happens is, what they said was, all donors, there is something, what I feel is, suppose I want to donate kidney to somebody. Now I am going through a trauma of tests. I'm going through surgery. I'm losing my job for 1.5 months. Who is going to pay for that? So this is called disincentive to donate. So I'm saying remove the disincentive. So Singapore government said any donor, even related on the government will pay $10,000 as a solatium or a gift. So I'm suggesting same thing in India. All donors should be treated like a Padma Shri or a medal owner, whatever you call the Seva medal. With that medal, they'll get free train, they'll get tax concession, they'll
That's
get
a
a
very
VIP
nice
loan,
idea.
they'll be honored. So when you do that, or a deceased donor, their family, one family member nominated like a hero.
Correct.
And this is given. They
That's
are
a
given some one-time
fantastic
payment
idea.
also, or a medal. So this is what we call disincentive. Start off with that. The donor feels wanted. But that is what people always attribute this as sale. How can you sell? How can you put value for an organ? How do you, I mean, or they call it commodification. To be honest, Sharon, should we legalize, I'm asking you a very provocative question. Should we legalize prostitution?
Or gambling.
Or gambling? Or liquor?
See,
Liquor.
Yeah, let's start with liquor, because the states where liquor is prohibited has the maximum sale of alcohol.
And also maximum illicit liquor death.
So both are happening. So it doesn't matter, as long as human beings have morality issues, no rule is going to make any difference.
So that's where regulation is important. You can't ban it.
Correct.
My opinion is,
You regulate it.
if you ban anything, if you ban the normal, abnormal will come in.
Correct. And
So,
that will thrive.
That's what happens. If suppose you ban alcohol, one is illegal alcohol, other spurious alcohol.
Correct, spurious
People are dying because of spurious. Same with
Or the black market.
or gambling. If
same.
you don't so this is a very, thought provoking. I'm not the one to judge, but even same way, prostitution. If you say, I'll give you an example. This we keep discussing. Now a fellow from Bihar village. Now goes. He's not seen a lady at all, and he goes and sees one movie of Tamanna Bhatia or somebody dancing. Now he's getting excited. I'm not justifying. Now what does he do? But suppose prostitution was legal in a good way, whether that will reduce, I don't know. Amsterdam, they have tried, all that we have tried. Germany is legal. Switzerland, I don't know, because whether our country can take that. It's a very controversial. Same way I'm saying for kidney also, some sort of compensation is needed. I'm not saying sale. I'm not saying sale of kidney.
Yeah.
There is a compensation.
I think that's a fair thing what you're saying. In fact, where I read also somewhere was that person should be taken care rest of the life, like an insurance, health insurance for them, or any breakdown happens related.
The beginning now. See, we are talking about something called NOTO. NOTO is a national Organ Tissue Transplant Organization by the government. This is an organization from the Ministry of Health. Why it was
Government of
formed.
India.
See, as I said, I'm sort of responsible indirectly for the law to come in because of the Bangalore 95.
Correct.
So the law was passed and this came in. So 2010, this occurred in 95, the law was passed, legalizing brain death, and you can take the organ for donation or whatever that came in. 2010, the government decided to form a national, because we never had a registry. See, we don't even know what number of transplant, even though we don't have a registry. See, now if you look at US, Australia and all that, you can get any data. How many years, because all data is there in the
Online.
system. We still don't have that in India.
A
But the
registry.
NOTO has started with that idea. So in this NOTO, this is one of the things which we want to do. Now, when you register for transplant, now I am on dialysis. Now, once I'm on dialysis, I have to register for cadaver donation. That is a donor, brain dead donor. How does a brain dead donor come? They come to you for head injury or a brain tumor aneurysm, and then you say everything is done. The brain dead.
Only
And
neurosurgeon
you
realizes
can't
how to
certify alone. You have to get other people.
Correct.
And as a transplant team, once it is certified, then the patients are on a waiting list, and based on the blood group waiting list, they are allowed.
The matching happens.
Now, again, there are points. Certain age, so many points. So based on number of points, you go up the list. Now, we are suggested that kidney donor, live donor, gets kidney failure, they should go up on the list. Now, they've done that.
Excellent.
So now that started, but again, these are all done by private organs. There is like Rotary Club organ donation, which Anil is part. There's a lady called Hemali Ajmera. She's herself a transplant recipient, and her husband is a legal guy. And he again wants this one nation, one law. You may not know. Earlier, what it was a donor comes from, say, Bihar, comes to Bangalore, both a donor and recipient. Now, I must have clearance on the committee in Bihar for transplant. Now, Bihar many times may not have a committee. So now this lady now went to court and they said one nation, one law. Or like you're going to have one election,
GST.
one whatever. With this,
GST,
right, no?
like GST.
So that lady did this law. Like that, they're trying to bring in changes. The problem in India is because we are democratic, many things can't be done like Singapore or other countries where they have one system to go about. That's the problem we have.
So I think they still say 10% of there's a lot of black marketing of organs happening all over the world. It's not just India specific.
It will occur because of supply and demand. See, like Iran, the government has taken over the transplant program. No transplant is done in private. In Iran, actually, the government itself has got, any person can come and say, I want to donate kidney. Then the government will match and they'll give me money also. So that is called legal way of incentivizing organ donation. In fact, we had a meeting with the Iran nephrologist this is about 15 years ago in Philippines. At that point of time, the Philippines nephrologist was the health minister. So we had a group of people, so-called ethical people from UK, all over the world, how to legally, ethically incentivize organ donation. Legally and ethically. And we published in American Journal of Transplant. I'm one of the authors of that. So how to do this? It's not sale, but somewhere where I have a colleague, she's a psychiatrist in US. Her name is Sally Satale. She has had 2 transplants. So she's written a book. You must read that book. How altruism alone cannot solve organ shortage. Her argument is very interesting. I mean,
What's her argument?
Her argument is, see, now in a transplant, the recipient benefits. He gets a kidney.
Correct.
As a nephrologist, I get paid. Surgeon gets paid. Anesthetist gets paid. Hospital makes money. Drug company makes money. Why can't the poor donor get something? That is the argument.
Logical. Common sense logic.
That's the argument.
In fact, not only is not benefiting, he may actually be,
he's going through pain and he's going loss of job.
Yes.
So that is the argument. So he's an artist.
Like somebody doesn't get married, somebody doesn't go through all of this. So much risk is there. Absolutely. I think that's a very interesting.
So and then when you talk of the transplant success, I have patients who had transplant who were top posts. In fact, I have one particular couple, husband wife. This young boy, he had 2 transplants, and then he met this girl on dialysis. She has also had transplant, and they got married on Valentine's Day 3 years ago, and I was the chief guest. So these are very touching moments, and then stories which. Then I have patients, who got transplant patient married, they got children. So these are positive things in transplant.
That means you can have a normal life,
Yes.
normal children,
Correct.
everything going on. And what's the longest surviving donor?
In my I started transplant in 87. I have still 30, 40 years ago, many are there. Those are
Really?
30 years. 30, many are there.
Amazing.
See, normal, if you look at the survival sort of figures, 1 year is about 95%. 10 years is about 80%. 20 years, 60%, 30 years will be about 50, 60, which is good actually. It is actually better than having cancer or anything else.
I agree. And also, to simply say, when they die, if they died because of kidney related, then you can blame the kidney. If they died because something else, then you can't take that as mortality because of this.
Very interesting question, because a lot of people ask me how many transplants. So I've had many who had second, third over the past 40 years. But I know a case in Vellore, somebody told me in Vellore, I don't know if it's true, it's come in the paper also. One fellow had 7 transplants. Because after 7 transplants, he didn't die of kidney or anything. He was actually on a road trying to change a stepney and got hit by a lorry and died. So as you rightly said, it's not.
Yeah. So you can't put it under this basket and then say the percentages come down and
It
things
is
like
part of your destiny or whatever.
Absolutely.
It's unconnected with that.
Correct.
It's possible.
Recently, I saw news about a green corridor being done in the Bangalore metro for the first time to transfer organ. And, it was such a big show. We have heard of green corridors on the road. This was the first time it happened in a metro, and everybody was appreciating and all of those things. And I know like how the first rocket was carried by ISRO scientists on a cycle to Sriharikota. You had some story like that about it. Can you tell us
No, that's
how?
very interesting. This was when the early days of cadaver transplant, 1998, and we didn't have Noto that time. We had something called Forte, something for transplant, and we got a cadaver kidney set coming from St. John's. So I went in my old Santro car to St. John's and took the thermocol box, the ice box, took the kidney myself. No police, nothing.
My
Came to
goodness.
Lakeside, did the transplant. The transplant went, lady survived for 8 years, but my car had an accident where I had to write off in 2 years' time. That is the irony. You made a major accident, I had to write off. And so then
Imagine, guy, he has carried the kidney in his own car and then brought here. Can you imagine how many risks people like us take for the sake of the patient, and not somebody known to him, completely unknown patient.
Interesting thing, just a year ago I read on Twitter X that in Italy they had used a Lamborghini to transport a kidney 300 kilometers in 1 hour, and that was big news. So one of my colleague, Dr. Arvind Kanchi, he's a social media actor.
I know Arvind.
Arvind then put it in saying, my colleague Dr. Sundar has done this in 98 with his old Santro car. So, but the green corridor is a good concept. I think the metro.
I think so.
Now,
I agree.
There's
the sensitization, like how MGR is gave that. This is giving that.
But interesting, Sharon. Actually, Dr. Devi Shetty has also done some studies of using drones to transport organs, which is a new concept. We have used drones on Operation Sindoor and all that, but there's also a good side to this where we can use drones to carry. In Africa, they're actually carrying blood. I saw a program where actually in a small remote village, somebody is having bleeding and something happened, and the blood bank was some 100 kilometers away. So they would send the sample, and then the sample would come by drone. Same way, organs also with drones would come.
You never know. So many things can happen.
These are advanced science. It's not against any
use
religion.
technology to benefit humanity is what we are trying to see, and not to to do it the other way around. Now, as the one part of the kidney scam that we forgot, the lighter part of it was the kidney tray. Yes. Can you tell us about that's an important thing?
No, I think when the so-called kidney episode occurred, anything connected with kidney was bad name. In fact, I remember my teacher, Professor Shastri, in many meetings, he said, Dr. Shastri, he said, what are you doing? He said, I'm doing Siddha medicine. You will not say nephrology. Because he was scared to say it like that. I'm a senior professor. So in hospitals, I remember one case where in the emergency room, the nurse said, please bring the kidney tray. This patient was lying down with the relatives. They ran away thinking that we were going to steal the kidney because the word kidney was bad name.
In surgical instruments, we have a steel tray which looks like a kidney shape. Don't ask me why it is kidney shape. It could have been square, rectangle, round. I have no idea. I have no idea why it is, but it looks like. So we call it a kidney tray. You'll hear this all the time in the OT. So it's not to do with the kidney. It is just we use it to store saline, this, that, everything else. It's just like a container.
They can. I keep saying, they keep saying that your zoology teacher will tell you that the kidneys are bean shaped. Your body teacher will tell you beans are kidney shaped. So they could have called it bean tray.
I agree. It's like how there was a story I was reading Chandamama as a child, and this one fellow went to give a police complaint in his story, and he said, where is your house? The police fellow asked. He said, opposite so and so's house. Where is his house? He said, opposite my house. Where are both the houses? Opposite each other. He's still not saying the address. The police got beat him up because he just didn't know what was happening. So it is so funny.
It is like when we were doing MBBS, the final MBBS, there was a question, what is pemphigus? So my colleague, he writes, pemphigus caused not known.
Mm.
Treatment, treat the cause.
Oh,
But what is the correct?
but you have to give him marks at least for his ingenuity at the end of the day.
But he was a very smart guy. He was like gout, when the questions, gout, and he knew it connected to uric acid. He didn't know whether the high uric acid or low uric acid. He said gout is associated with altered uric acid levels. Altered, which is not wrong.
Correct.
We got full marks.
This is how ChatGPT gives answers now.
Correct. But I use this again. We must talk of AI and medicine.
Sure, why
I think
not?
it is very.
Why
I'm
not? It's the
using it-
flavor of the season anyway.
No, I'm using it quite a bit for presentation, for slides. But you have to correct because it
Give
may-
the right prompt.
right, because it will give wrong facts. It will tell, like, suppose you say nephrologist, will say neurologist. But it's totally. But the way it is speaking, I heard this. My son into AI, in precision care and oncology. He tells me 50 years ago, half life of medicine was some 50 years or something like that. Now it is 5 years ago, it is 73 days. Now, 2 years something. Now it is 73 days. That is, knowledge of medicine. How much you know, it disappears. That is half life. So, what I know now, in 73 days, you would forget 50 and new things are coming up. But that is again because of AI. It is able to analyze literature.
That the massive data churn it can do very fast.
So that is where it's going to come. So people ask me whether other day somebody asked Dr. Balal in one of the India Today conclave, do you think AI will replace doctors? He had a very good answer. He says AI will not replace doctors, but doctors who don't use AI will be replaced by doctors
Who use AI? Perfect. That's a brilliant answer. Will AI replace doctors? He's saying no. AI will not replace doctors, but doctors who don't use AI will be replaced by doctors who use AI. I think the same thing will happen to many of the fields. That means you have to upgrade yourself, guys. If you don't upgrade, it's not
same
going
thing.
to work.
When laparoscopic surgery came, now robotic. A lot of people ask me whether you should do robotic surgery.
Correct.
What is your take on robotic surgery?
See, the robotic surgery, I'll tell a couple of things I have heard about robotic surgery. Robotic surgery got designed by the Americans because they want to operate on the American soldiers who got injured in the Iraq and war, and they didn't want to have the food there, and they didn't trust the local doctors. And then they thought they were smart, and the moment they would give a command in the US, by the time the fellow got cut here, something else was getting cut because the respiration organs were moving. The internet lag was creating the problem. Then eventually it has come. I think it's the best in urology from what I heard because of some corners that you can't reach. In neurosurgery, it's only used to put in an electrode inside the brain and things. A very, very limited thing at the end of the day.
But kidney transplant, we are using it for people who are obese. And cancer, I think it's caught up because they feel the vision and...
That's why in the corners, one is more than the vision, you can put an instrument into a right angle corner that otherwise the hand will not reach at the end of the day.
It is something
some places it has got different value.
I know, very interesting. For a long time, I used to brush with a regular manual brush. Now suddenly my kids, they said you should use only electronic. Now I find that I'm able to reach different portions.
Oh, I should try this.
So
maybe I should try an electric brush. I've never tried that.
I think it's reaching into different corners, and my dentist after a few months said your teeth are looking better. He said, I don't know. So
good. I got one tip from you to.
So I think robotic is something like
robotic. Eventually, I used to tell that robot will not go to take you to the bathroom. You have to go to the bathroom yourself at the end of the day. Oh, very interesting. So what are some of the messages that you want to give the audience? Maybe I've spoken so much. Do you have any take-home messages?
I think my message, especially for young doctors who looking at it, is a lot of people tell us that medical profession is a calling. It's a calling to some extent, but at the same time, as you rightly said, we have to look at our own health and never think anybody is your competition. You do your best. In fact, my colleague Dr. Ajit would always say, nobody is my competition. Every day I try to improve. In fact, in initial days, he would come and tell me what surgery he did, what could be done better. So you have to improve yourself. Nobody is a competitor, and everybody has got a role in life. That is why I have this statement: be kind to people on your way up. You will see them on your way down.
Correct.
It's very important, even on a...
That's why I put it there, because I love that statement on your email, and I thought I should put it there.
I think this is also my philosophy of life, because what happens is, even on a selfish ground, I can say, now, as you go up the stairs and you climb up a ladder, you insult people and all that. So when you're going down, whom you insulted or created problem will laugh at you.
Correct.
But if you're nice, at least the fellow says. So this I learned from my father-in-law. My father-in-law was an army general. So he would always be, when he was a doctor also, he was the father of nuclear medicine. The first MRI in Asia was brought by him in Institute of Nuclear Medicine in Delhi. His name was General Lakshmipati. He was a brilliant nuclear medicine scientist. Now he told me that whenever a young captain comes to him, he'll give him VIP treatment. So I asked him, Dad, why are you treating that fellow well? And your own colleagues now you throw. He said, when I retire, 20 years old, that fellow is going to be general. At least when I go, he'll give me one cup of coffee. So on selfish grounds, be nice to people on your way up. But I think this is a good philosophy. That is one philosophy. And also, I think my philosophy, even a lot of people, I got 3 boys and they're doing well by God's grace. So whether good parenting, bad parenting, I mean,
Oh, we didn't talk about that. Why
that's
don't
also
yes?
so what is, I don't know whether the term good, bad, I don't know. What I have told my kids is that you have independence to everything. I've got certain moral values, not that you should follow. Because I believe in the term, every generation has to learn the fire is hot. If I tell my son or grandson, unless he touches it, so he has to learn on his own. But I have given them unconditional love, which was not true with my parents, to be honest. My father would tell me that if you marry such and such girl, do this, I will disown you. Same words. In Tamil, they say, Tanni Telchudu. That means you're dead. But I told my kids, never ever, you will always be my son, whatever you do. Suppose you commit murder, I'm not going to say murder is wrong, but as a father, I'll arrange a lawyer for you. You have that thing. So from childhood, they never had any inhibition telling. So my wife was a teacher. So before anything, one son was very naughty. All the time he'll be reprimanded by the teachers. But before the teacher could call my wife, he himself will come and tell me, Dad, I did that. So that way communication.
You had open communication.
So
communication.
So whether that is good or not, I don't know. To be
It
honest,
is very good.
so
Take it from me. It's very good.
No, some amount. But some amount I feel that I have not been strict, especially coming into this religious and spiritual terms. Like I'm a Brahmin. I put this Janivara and all that, but they are not following the typical. They don't even have the Janivara. They are eating chicken, mutton. I don't know whether if I had been more strict, they would have done it, or they would have done it without my knowledge. So there's no clear answer to this. If you're very strict, they can do without your knowledge. If you're liberal, they can do. But I have no complaints. So my suggestion, my own way of thinking. My wife also thinks the same thing. Even coming to marriage. See, a lot of my kids are married. I got granted, but according to me, in the modern era, this concept of joint family. In our days, we live with parents, grandparents, in-laws and all. Now, husband and wife are together, that is joint family. That is the reality. I mean, we have to accept the reality. No, I'm being honest.
So you're redefining a lot of husband and wife living together, joint family. What about a dog or a cat?
I mean, that's going to be part of the thing. So, and then I am also now not even saying that you should get married. See, now people are living together or whatever. But my suggestion is, if you get married and if you want to have a child, please invest on the child for the next 20 years, whatever be your differences. I know it's difficult because you are going to unleash a human being who could be a terrorist, who could be a criminal, you could be a scientist. It's up to you as parents. I think that is where the emotional support is needed. In fact, some of the people in US also said the same thing. The single parent, they have a lot of issues. Emotionally, it is challenging. So, and the tolerance is gone. I use kidney transplant example. A lot of people tell me about kidney transplant. There's a Scottish saying. It says, kidney transplant is like marriage. Marriage is a boon for many. Like transplant is a successful boon. It's curse for some. You have rejection, infection. So husband, wife fighting, curse. But it's a risk for all. Same with marriage and transplant. I think that holds good. So that risk, most of us have taken the risk of marriage. And happy, not happy, it's a different term. But that's the way life is. So my
and even living together, it doesn't make life any easier.
Correct.
The moment two human beings come together, it has its own.
That is interesting, Sharon, because I keep telling this. Living together, and then when they get married, the whole scenario changes. As husband, wife, the whole scenario changes. Because that is where, like kidney transplant, we have a term called tolerance and adaptation. When you put a kidney, your body tolerates, and the kidney adapts. Same thing with marriage.
So body tolerates, kidney adapts.
The body and kidney adapts. And your body tolerates the kidney.
Correct.
Same with marriage. Husband, wife, you have to tolerate, you have to adapt. Others, it fails. So I always use this analogy of transplant in life and in this thing also. So that is important message. And also about, I am a promoter of organ donation. I keep repeating the same thing. God has given us 2 kidneys. Why has God given 2 kidneys? One is for you, one is for your loved ones. Be an organ donor, save lives. That is why, and be heroes.
Perfect. I think that was a fantastic closure for this podcast. I think It was a great chatting with you to know what your journey was, what you have gone through, guys. Here, I think if there was any gallantry award for doctors, he would be high on that list for my side, for sure, for what Dr. Sundar has gone through. And look at him, the same energy at 70 years. I think if you sign him up for another 30 years for, a transplant, he'll be same kick going around like this. That's the spirit I want each of you to have, because, guys, that is the spirit that will take you to the top, that will help you to fight any adversaries that you have on the way or any downturns that you have on the way, to make you a better human being before you do what you do in this life.
Sir, you said give 30 years. 30 years healthy life I need. And I think next phase of my life, actually I want to do some sort of charity. Now we have
Okay,
joined some social organization like Sai Baba organization, start
excellent.
free dialysis units, free transplants, be mentor, not for commercial reason. I think this, I owe it to society. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know what God wills, but I'm thinking the next phase of my life would be
Fantastic.
that.
But you should think and transmit to the universe, Sundar. That's my recommendation. I've realized myself, the moment I make a decision, transmit, even before it comes out of the mouth, somebody hears it and they show up in your space, because it's like magic at the end of the day, how this whole thing happens. And I think if his destiny was to be that, and you have saved thousands of them, you're going to save thousands more at the end of the day. So thank you very much.
you.
It was fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. Before I wind down, don't forget the usual housekeeping rules. Subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, forward this video and all the other videos. We have lots of them on our YouTube channel. We have the small reels on our Instagram. Please don't forget to follow us everywhere, and for sure comment. Also comment what else you want to know, because we have so many people like this that we can get on a show and give you an unfiltered information. And most important thing I want to tell you, there have been already 25, 28 episodes that have come out from the Rebooting the Brain Stable. Not one of the videos is edited. What we shoot is what you see. That's it. That's how it is. It's an unfiltered conversation. People are loving it for that, and we promise you we'll keep it the same going forward. Thank you, Sundar.
Thank
Jai
you.
Hind.
Thank you, Sharan. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Sundar, as a part of our formality of every guest, we gift a copy of our book, Rebooting the Brain, to all our guests. This is your copy. Please read it and give us your feedback of how you like it. You can read any chapter in any order. It's not in any particular order. Okay?
So it will reboot my brain.
Yeah, it'll reboot your brain. For sure, it'll reboot your brain. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.